I've got it on the notes, by the way, but I think when we get round to the Game Awards part of the show, I think it'd be good to like screen share that and just go through the categories of interest for the viewers. For the viewers.
Yeah, sure. Works for me. All right, yeah, we're now live.
If I asked you
Oh,
what Xbox's slogan was for this generation, would you know what it was?
It's just jump in, isn't it? Or like
that was it. That was it. Like 360.
like
I don't know what it was in Xbox One.
I mean, they had like the world's most powerful console, didn't they? Play it.
Yeah.
Best on the world. I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't know.
Yeah.
What is
I was
it?
thinking that because I remember it, but there's no way other people remember it. It's Power Your Dreams because they've had that whole campaign on like the Dreams thing, haven't they?
They don't put it at the end of their like
Power Your
advertisements, though, do they?
No, which is it's just a cool slogan. Like that's way better than Jump In, but it's not like it's just Xbox marketing being crap as usual.
Yeah, because I when
because like Jump
Series
In,
S, it had the Power Your Dreams like wrapped around it. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
that's right. Right, I'm just gonna post to socials because as well I was thinking I don't know if the PS5 has one. I know they did for the PS4, which was players.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like greatness or some shit, isn't it? It's like something like that. Experience greatness. It's some.
So we believe in generations.
That's the one.
I totally
Cat
believe
games
in generations.
Are us. Yeah. Come say no.
Say come.
We are now live. Come say hi. I misspelt 5 words there, and it's only a 6-word sentence.
You're tired. You're a tired boy, man. You're a tired man, boy. You're a tired boy, man. You're.
I can be either for you.
You're tired. You're tired. You're just tired.
Yeah, that's okay.
Morning, Joaquin.
Yes.
Glad you could join us.
Joaquin is here. That's how I know it's a good day.
Yeah, you're straight on it.
All right, buddy. I'm ready to go if you are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can start jingling, yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
I've got my tea. I've got my ginger beer. Let's go.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, well, I got a little bit of an upset stomach, man. I know, it's feeling a bit dodge. But, I mean, we drink ginger beer anyway.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. I won't tell you about it. Not while it's jingling. I'm not going to talk about my bowels.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Quick Resume podcast. This is episode 78. We missed last week, but we're back now due to me having a small little child under the name of Fox. Just to clarify, he's not a fox. He's human. Baby Fox. He's 1 week old today. He's very sweet, but he's quite hard work, and that's why I've got sleepy eyes and I'm misspelling everything on Twitter at the moment. But anyway, hi, thanks for coming. We're here to talk about games and not babies. So if you haven't been there before, my name's Deck. Over there's Tim. Say hi, Tim.
Hello. Hi, my name's Tim.
Greetings. And we've got plenty to talk about this week because it's been a busy 2 weeks, really. I don't know if you've been on top of this, but from the outset, we had the Game Awards nominations last week. We had more drama with the whole ABK situation, but it's going global now. It's going international. China have kind of got involved. The US are getting involved with the FTC as well. The CMA are continuing to be dinguses, as are the EU. And Sony, Sony's response has been publicly shared. So we've seen what Sony has essentially said, behind closed doors to the CMA. I think it was the CMA. And all of that, it adds to kind of what the weekly treadmill of with drama with this whole thing. So this is fun. It might not sound fun, but it is fun. So let's take it down a notch, Tim.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Obviously not quite as much has happened in my life as yours over the last week or two. But I just found out pretty much I'm losing my job, so that's good. That's always fun. That's something that happened in my life.
Just a little side note, just a footnote.
Yeah,
it's been a pretty alright week. I'm losing my job, but it's fine. Tummy hurts.
Just another company I've joined that's now gone into liquidation. That's the second one. For those of you who are unaware, I seem to bring down companies from within somehow.
Well, it's the second liquidation, but it's the third redundancy, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just got made redundant just in one of my jobs a while ago. Then then a liquidation, and then a liquidation again. I know how to pick him, dude. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much into it, but maybe it's time for a change. That's what everyone says when they lose their job, but. But yeah, and I can catch up on my backlog, dude. December is going to be the month
nothing
of
wrong
my
with
backlog
that.
Because who the fuck is
so
recruiting
happy for you.
in December anyway, right? Like no one recruits in December. Like I'll probably apply to some like nice roles if I see him, but like I'm very much going to take a little bit of a backseat and just have like a few weeks off and then just hit the ground running in the new year in terms of the job search. So yeah, it might be the month of the backlog. So to speak. So I'm excited.
That's great, and I like nothing makes me happier than Tim getting to finish games. Nothing makes me happier.
I'm going to finish Tales of Arise. It's a fucking long game.
Are you really?
Like you can't say I haven't given it my best effort. I'm about 38 hours in. It's just a really long game.
Wow.
And yes, I'll finish that, and then I don't know. I'm thinking maybe like the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. Might get around to some of the PlayStation exclusives, God of War, that sort of thing. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, a lot on the cards potentially for a nice little.
You haven't even got Elden Ring on that list.
December break. No, I actually have. You reminded me. I actually hopped on Elden Ring. Yesterday with my new Series S that I bought in the Black Friday sales. Let's go. Amazon giving it away for £189.
Yeah.
Absolute bargain. Yeah. No, it was a really good price, so I couldn't say no to that. So I've got that plugged in at my girlfriend's now. It's sort of like a second Xbox. And yeah, I booted up Elden Ring, beat a couple bosses, made some progress. I'm at the base of the Erd tree. It's on the cards.
It's a nice place to be. Yeah.
On the cards, dude.
How's it?
Yeah.
I guess I just wanted to say first, because I wanted to ask you a bit, sorry, mate, about like that Amazon Series S deal is, I don't know if that's just a UK thing, but like that is crazy. Like Xbox must be selling kidneys.
Oh yeah, like 60 quid
to get them out at that price.
Yeah, 60 quid
already
off a
£250
console. Yeah, 190 for a next gen console that can play like 60.
It's cheaper than a Switch.
60 to 120 FPS. Yeah. That shocked me so much because I was kind of looking to get a new Switch because mine is just like I was just like maybe I can upgrade to the OLED, that sort of thing. But I know Switch 2 is on the horizon, so I probably won't. But yeah, everything was so expensive. I was like £300+. I was like, all this this just has a better screen than the first Switch. Why is this so expensive? Like, this is crazy. Yeah. It's the same hardware. It's just a better screen. It will still run Pokemon like garbage. So,
part of it to me, and that is on the agenda, by the way, Pokemon. Yeah. Part of it to me is like it feels like almost a pricing strategy. So like they pump out more supply of OLED switches so that there's less supply of the regular Switch, so that if people want one now, they have to get an OLED. Do you know what I mean? Almost because, like you said, you go on Amazon nowadays. I can only really find like secondhand base Switches unless I get an OLED, which is like what, 300 quid or something. It's like just under 300 quid, maybe.
I think they had some bundle offers over Black Friday for like 330 with a game. So yeah, you're looking at about 300 quid if you're going for just the console. Yeah,
or a Switch Lite. Is that a thing? Did I make that up?
A Switch Lite is a thing, yeah. So it's portable only. Switch Lite, you can't dock it into the TV at all. And those are still coming in around 200, 180 to 200, which is mental. Like that's still like the same cost as my Series S that I just bought, if not more expensive.
Yeah,
it's just a fucking handheld only Switch. Like Jesus,
it's just crazy. That price is just bonkers. Like I think because like I've been convincing a couple of people to get their hands on them, like just get a year of Game Pass for like 50 or Game Pass Ultimate, even 50 quid. That is such a good present, like that for yourself or for a friend or child, whatever.
Absolutely.
So so my next question was about like, how did I feel going back into Elden Ring, because it's kind of slipped out of the public conversation now, despite the Game Awards being around, and boy do I have a lot to say about that. So how did it feel hopping in for a minute?
So it was obviously a shock going back, because it's just a really fucking tough game, and I got my ass handed to me about 6 times before I beat this boss. It was it was one of those guys on the horse outside the base of the Erd Tree, the one that can summon like the red lightning and stuff. The big chunky,
what were they called? The Tree Guardians.
Dragon Knights.
Tree.
Yeah, it was Tree Guardian, Tree Sentinel. That's it. But it was like the dragon one outside the base of the Erd Tree. Yeah, so obviously just the difficulty scale.
They're quite hard.
Was difficult. They are hard. So that took a bit of getting used to. But apart from that, man, it was great to be back. I slipped right back into the whole. As soon as I found this area, and again, just walking and discovering a new area, the game is so beautiful. Like just the way they structure their world and the
direction.
Levels, like it's just insane. And I was immediately jumping off places and finding the shortcuts and little hidden secrets, and just really getting back into the swing of it, like I hadn't ever left it. And before I knew it, like an hour passed, and I was just like, I only went to just go on this quickly while like my girlfriend was doing something, and she's kind of been sitting here doing nothing for like 40 minutes now. It was good to be back. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, just because like if you followed the show, and you probably remember me saying it, Tim, like I definitely had a big honeymoon phase, as everyone did with Elden Ring. Like amazing.
Incredible.
But like after I finished it, because I 100%ed it, like after I finished it, probably a month later, I really got like kind of a sour taste in my mouth. But it wasn't because of the game; it was just because of like all the reception, and it was like really smug and patronizing. Like every YouTuber made the same fucking video. Do you know what I mean? What's wrong with modern games? This is why map icons are bad. And it's not like necessarily that like they're wrong. Like Elden Ring, I think was quite evolutionary in that way, in how it guided you through its world and didn't hold your hand. And there's nothing wrong with the other way of the other end of that spectrum of games guiding you around. But like there's just this real smugness in kind of the content creator community that was like trying to tell devs what to do, and that just really started to get on my nerves. I don't want every game to be like that. Sometimes I just want a game where I can run from marker to marker, and obviously I want that to be interesting and not monotonous and not boring, but like that sort of game can still be good, and there's a place maybe for a hybrid of both, so but now I'm like, now that we're back far away from it again, I'm like, every now and again I'll see a bit of gameplay and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember being there. Oh yeah, like the jingle that would play in the background when you get there, like some of the music, some of the enemies, and all those weapons that I never tried, all of those spells, all the things like that. I'm excited for the DLC now, but I guess is where I was going with this.
Have they got like an announcement date on that DLC or anything, or is that still pretty much in the dark?
It's not official yet. Something's, I think, FromSoft trademarked the name of something, which people are assuming it's the DLC. But
they do good DLCs. FromSoft, they do very good DLCs.
They do.
So it'll be exciting to go back to it for that for sure. But I think that's about it from me. Just like Series S. Obviously, we've been playing lots of Pokemon, but we can go through that in the Pokemon segment. Bit of Elden Ring, bit of this. We bought Ship of Fools, haven't played it yet. But what about you, man? What have you been? How's your gaming life been since? Oh no, you go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we bought Ship of Fools, and just in case any of you haven't heard of the game, it's like a co-op roguelite adventure game, I guess, where you're like on a ship and you sail around and it's kind of like top down. From the looks of it, it's like top down Sea of Thieves combat. Am I misplaced in that judgment? Where you're like on the ship, by the looks of it, you kind of upgrade the ship and maybe your character as well on the boat.
Yeah.
but then you choose, like it doesn't Slay the Spire in Hades, you pull it up
Yeah.
and there's a fork in the road and you pick which way to go,
It's like your
all
top-down,
roguelike
like
stuff.
Paper Mario style, like
Yeah.
graphics. In the sense that you're like 2D, but in like a kind of 3D-esque world. Then yeah, top-down. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and we had our eyes on it a while back, and then it came out. It wasn't on Game Pass, but it was like what? It was really cheap, wasn't it? It was like £11, so we just split the difference. And yeah, I look forward to playing that. I think
Yeah, it
it's
looks
gonna be
really
good. It's
fun.
reviewed quite well as well.
Yeah.
It's coming out like an 80 on Opencritic.
Who's it made by?
So yeah, I don't know. I was just looking that up
Because
I don't know if it was a Devolver published game.
Yeah, it's familiar in its graphic style and like sort of tone than I've played in Devolver games in the past. So I would have thought they would be involved in some way, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously is an indie game. Oh, is it Team 17? I think it's Team 17.
Oh,
So
okay.
like, Worms publisher.
Yeah.
The actual devs is Quebec City, so
I know them well.
haven't heard of them, but yeah, that's one. Oh no, Fika Productions. Fika Productions. That's the dev, and yeah, Team 17 is the publisher. So yeah, really, Team 17 are really good. They're like a close second to Devolver, I would say, in terms of quality of what they put out.
Yeah. Good
yeah. So your follow-up question was how?
Yeah. What's your couple weeks been like since old Foxy boy?
Yeah, no, it's been all right. It's been all right actually. I've been playing. I picked up my Switch a few times. I've been using cloud quite a bit as well. So Vampire Survivors on cloud. I played a bit of Super Mario Sunshine. Don't ask me why. Just kind of fancied it. It was on my Switch. I didn't really want. I needed to play something portable, and I was looking at what I have, and I got that Mario All Stars thing. So I thought I'd play that.
Okay.
Mario Sunshine. What else can I say? I hate that. It is, and I'm like the only reason I'm enjoying. I mean, they are good games, but like I'm playing it because of the nostalgia. But like I hate those ports. I'm still like a bit angry at myself for buying that All Star Collection because it's such a load of shit. Like, there's no improvement. So like, they upres it a little bit, okay, but like, there's no gyro, there's no updated controls, no controller remapping. Like, I just can't believe it. And like, even like I didn't know this, but because Galaxy in Mario Galaxy, you use the Wii remote. It had there was like gestures, like you'd spin your thing around. Apparently, and I need someone to like confirm if you know better than me. But from when I had a quick look online, that's not a thing in the All Stars edition. You have to use the touch screen. Like you couldn't dock it and then use your Joy-Cons.
What? Why? Who wants to get the grubby mitts all over the screen and spin their finger all over it?
I don't know, Nintendo. I mean, that's just what I read on a very quick glance, and maybe that's just an additional option for while you're playing it portably. Does that make sense? So, like, how do you use the gesture remotes portably? But it wouldn't surprise me because the rest of these ports fucking suck. Like, because especially Sunshine, it's the only Mario where there's like an element of aiming because you're using FLUDD. And it would be, it would just improve the game so much more if I had the gyro. And like, because like a lot of the aiming, like the controls are so bad as well. Like
they're awful. Yeah.
Like you can strafe to aim, but you can't free turn on the right stick. I hate it. I can't believe they didn't do anything more with that. Anyway, so I played a bit of that. I started Somerville.
Nice.
Which was a Game Pass game that came out alongside Pentiment, which is I quite like. It scored like mid-70s. I was hoping for a little bit better from some of the talent behind Inside Bow, but and I can see why. Like it's good. I'm liking what I'm playing, but like there's just one really clear design flaw in how vague it is with what the game wants you to interact with. It's really pretty. It's so pretty. Like the whole premise of the game is that basically, you move to this town and then shortly after, it seems like the planet gets caught in the crossfire of an intergalactic war. And there are like these giant structures, these giant alien like monoliths almost, like floating in the sky. Really pretty, but the game tries to go to like a 3D kind of game, so kind of like rather than being fully 2D, the game, it feels kind of like the old Resident Evil games, where it's like a kind of a fixed camera position, but the camera does kind of swerve and move around as you move. But
Okay.
it is
Yeah.
3D. And it's kind of, it's just like kind of environmental storytelling. There's no voice work. And like there's like physics puzzles to solve. The main problem, like I said, is the game's really ambiguous with where what it wants you to interact with. Like there's no HUD element, and I just think everything would have been solved if they had just been like a little HUD element. Like it didn't need to be intrusive, but just something when I get close, just pop up, and so I know, okay, this is the thing I can interact with.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm playing on cloud, like it's tiny, and because it's 3D, when you walk away from the camera, things get so small. And I'm like squinting, and I'm like, I already wear glasses, and I'm like, what am I trying to interact with here?
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's one of those chill games that you can just kind of have on, and just play a bit.
Nice.
But then other than that, just Overwatch, really. Oh, and I did hop into a bit of Halo Infinite. I didn't play it. I just wanted to have a look around some of the maps, like download a few, make sure I had some ready to go. Next time we have a game night with our friends.
Yeah. Successful? You find anything good?
Yeah, I found a handful for sure. There's definitely still a lot of them. A good stuff is still being made. But I got a handful of ones which like immediately look really fun. There's like this Super Smash. Someone's made like Super Smash Bros, where everybody just has plasma pistols. You're on like a floating platform, and you have grapples and repulsors. So like you grapple if you're stood up, but you repulsor if you're crouched.
Okay.
And so everybody's flying around trying to either smack each other off like this single floating platform, or like punch each other, and then so people are like guarding the edge, like repulsing people off, and then they're grappling back and then repulsing off.
Nice.
Just silly stuff like that. It's fun. So yeah, that's been me. And then I can wait, but the two of us are kind of both waiting on the Overwatch 2 Season 2 update in just over a week.
Yes, I'm quite excited for that. Yeah, it should be quite nice to get another battle pass. I'm hoping that will drop with like an update where they address some of the store issues and stuff. I don't know if that's the case. That would be nice. I would like to be able to buy some skins without taking out a loan of some kind. That would be nice. Like I really do feel like, as much as the battle pass was quite good, outside of a handful of skins in the battle pass, I feel like all the time I put into Overwatch hasn't rewarded me cosmetically at all. And I have no career level to be like, oh look, check me out, I've done 110 levels in Overwatch 2. Like, I just feel like I'm not really being rewarded outside of the gameplay and the battle pass. So yeah, they definitely need to sort that out.
Yeah, it's the exact problem that Infinite had, isn't it? Except Overwatch had a perfectly good one in place. Like, I loved those little portraits. I thought that was one of the best ways. I don't know. I just liked it. And you got little stars at the bottom, and then you went up to prestige to a silver border, and then when you saw someone with a diamond one, you're like, oh shit, this person is either really good or they're 14 and they don't go to school.
Yeah.
Could be either, really.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I understand their fight and like pushing back against toxicity, but I think sometimes there needs to be a middle line. There needs to be a middle ground, rather, should I say? So yeah, we'll see. Did you see the trailer for the Ramatra, by the way?
I did. Yeah. He seems really cool, actually. Yeah, he seems.
He looks so cool.
He seems very bloated. I feel like they might have given him a little bit too much. The guy kind of slows. He does dart, he does burst, he does melee, he does damage reduction, he does shields, he does range. Like, he literally does like every single thing in the game right now. So I think he might be a little bit OP when he comes out, but he looks cool regardless.
That is his thing, though. I think that's fine. Like, as long as they don't keep making characters like that, like, that's fine. Like, if he's going to be a stance switcher and his thing is, jack of all trades.
Yeah, but he needs to do. Fine. Yeah, but they need to have that fine balance where, yes, he can do everything, but he needs to do everything like okay, and then you mix it all together
Yeah.
to make the character, rather than just he is literally just every character already, and he just does everything they do but more as well. So it's tough to balance, but looking at the trailer, I think he's going to be a bit strong. My gut feeling is he's going to be very strong to start with, and with the cadence of how they're updating their game, if he's really busted, that might be an issue if they take forever to fucking nerf him. So
That's true.
hopefully
Yeah, it'll be
not.
interesting to hear, because they've got the rest. They've got more kind of, I don't know, not events, but like community updates, I guess, in the next few days, haven't they? About like
Yeah.
what the plan is for season 2. Here's the content roadmap. And there already have been a few kind of outlining what they're going to tackle, like progression, and I think they said, like, for example, for all future events, there'll always be one legendary skin obtainable, which is a good start. Like, because for the last one, like, it was like you got like a couple of voice lines for doing a couple of challenges, and that's just like
Stupid.
pathetic.
Yeah.
So there'll be like, a premier skin that you can get by participating in each event, which is good. Oh, okay. Let's get on to the honorable mentions then, buddy.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't think for the audience, I have collated these notes over the last 2 weeks. So I've done my best to like trim these down. I think we've got a good amount. We shouldn't go on for too long. But it does mean we've missed out on a couple of smaller things, and it does mean that some of the stuff we're going to talk about might be 2 weeks old rather than 1 week old. So if you're here for the ride, that'll be fine. But if you're here for the new stuff, you might want to skip to a bit further ahead in the video.
Yeah. Yes.
So I just wanted to actually reflect a little bit, Tim, to start with, because I think it was last week that it was Xbox Live's 20th anniversary.
Let's go.
Which is kind of wacky to think. 2003. I don't think I got an Xbox till 2009 and 360 back in the day, and I think you had yours a bit earlier.
Yeah, I had mine for about a year or so before you, I think, maybe.
I think you had quite a bit, maybe 1 or 2. But I wanted to ask you kind of what, if somebody asked you, what's your history with Xbox Live? How do you feel about that kind of innovation as a whole? Like, what would you kind of say? Because it's obviously quite a big deal in the industry.
Yeah, extremely. Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely revolutionary. Obviously for me, my 2 key standouts and nostalgia hits for me, and what changed sort of gaming for me back in that time was, definitely Halo 3. And that multiplayer experience, playing split screen with you all the time around my house, that sort of thing. That was obviously that was like our first introduction into that world of online gaming. Call of Duty Modern Warfare was up there as well. Call of Duty 4.
Yes.
And then, I mean, I got to shout out my Xbox Live Arcade. Love me some Xbox Live Arcade, mate. Castle Crashers, Rascals,
Death Spank,
yeah, all those sort of games, man. We had a blast.
Battle Block Theatre. What was the other
Explosion
one
Man.
with the little animals with guns? Explosion Man. What were the little animals with guns?
Small arms. Yeah, Small Arms.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, man. Those are some of my fondest memories, downloading that stuff from the Xbox Live store, the arcade and stuff. It's awesome, man. I always used to check out the arcade store for like new releases and stuff like that. Yeah, that's definitely a big part.
And that's like, don't you? I know that isn't strictly necessarily Xbox Live. I mean, I guess it is in terms of the marketplace, but like we've always had that heritage with indie games, because this kind of like ties into a lot of the conversations that we spoke about in the last episode, and we will a bit this week with Pentiment, and a lot of the conversations around how we value games based on size and production value. Like, if 20 years later we're still talking about Castle Crashers and bloody Small Arms and bloody Rascals, Explosion Man, like, I'm not gonna bite at the bait that smaller games aren't important. Like,
smaller
I won't
games
take it.
Been some of the most impactful games of my gaming life, like genuinely.
That's right.
Like Castle Crashers is is one of my favorite games of all time and will always be there in my eyes. Yeah. And even most recent games like Slay the Spire, Hades, all those, they're some of my favorite games I've ever played.
That's right.
Like they're insane. Yeah, those sort of indie games really make such a big impact on my gaming life, definitely.
And I think beyond like kind of the actual function of Xbox Live and the ability to play online matches and whether it's Halo 3 and customs or all of that, it's been like it's been really good in helping me. Like we've made friends because of Xbox Live,
Oh yeah,
like 10 years ago, 2013, right, in Destiny. And also like we've kept in touch because of it as well.
Yeah.
Like I can't undersell how important Xbox Live has been to me and to the listeners out there. I reckon it's probably been the same to you. There's people share these stories all the time, meeting friends or keep staying in touch, things like that. And it changed the landscape. I know there were some online services before Xbox Live, but really Live is the one that did it the best and popularized everything. And it changed the way that we view games now. And so yeah, I just wanted to kind of reflect on that, and I just encourage everyone to think about kind of where we would be without that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most people view gaming as this closed off, you're alone in a little hermit in your room, but like gaming is one of my biggest social activities because I always play with friends. These friends are extremely far away from me as well, like a couple hours if not more away, so it's just a great way to stay in touch. And yeah, without it, there's a very real chance that a lot of us would have fallen out of touch or spoke a lot less frequently. So yeah, no, it really has. Yeah, it's definitely changed my life for the better, 100%.
Yeah, I guess that's why they call it Xbox Live,
because it keeps you alive in the heart.
It stops that downward spiral.
Yeah.
Okay, very quick shout out then. Touch controls got added for Vampire Survivors. Got nothing else to add other than that. Wow, what a game! Not good enough game of the year though. Not good enough for.
Mate, graphics are shit.
Not good enough
for Ragnarok, is it?
Yeah, graphics are bad. You play as a cat though. That's game of the year.
Oh yeah, dude. Play as a janky ass cat. No combat. You can meow on people. Perfect. I played that game, by the way, from start to complete with my girlfriend.
You finished it?
Yeah, finished it, dude. It's 5 hours long.
Really? I thought really 5 hours.
It was literally like 5-6 hours long.
There's nothing wrong with that. I like short games.
You can complete it quicker as well. Like we took our time with it. It was fine. It's not even close to being nominated for a game of the year, in my opinion. And that's coming from someone that's played it start to finish. There's like no free roam. Did you know that? You can't just like run around and jump as the cat. You have button cues to jump on specific things.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I did know that, yeah.
That was a huge... When I found that out, literally my heart just dropped. I was like, so I'm not really a cat.
You're not really a cat, yeah. You're just a camera, like a camera on wheels.
I'm a cat when you tell me to be a
fur.
Cat, but I'm not really a cat.
Yeah. Be a cat for me, daddy.
I'm a Pharisee.
I'll be a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, like, we're going to come back around to this. Yeah. I'm not going to get started right now. But
save it.
Yeah, that's a thing. Touch controls, Vampire Survivors, get on that shit. Works very well. And also, they responded really quickly, just to put it out there, because there were loads of people who were like, this would be probably perfect for touch controls. Get it up, and yes, it was all us.
They watched QRP and they were like, "Fuck, this kid's got a point. We need to get on this stat."
We hadn't considered this until now. Yeah, and that's perfect. What a game! Wow. And then our last honorable mention is around Pokemon, because how could you not? How could you not? I don't know if you were aware, Tim, of the numbers that this game hit. Other than sales numbers, I'm talking.
Yeah.
This game broke. I think I should have put them down on my notes, so I do apologize. But I'm pretty sure this game broke 20 million sales in its first fucking day. That makes it the biggest single exclusive game launch of all time. It's literally the biggest game that any publisher has ever put out in terms of sales. God of War Ragnarok sold 5 million in 3 days.
Yeah.
Pokemon did 20 million in one. Why the fuck? Why the fuck do you all love these little fucking
Hey, I got
pocket monsters so
Don't
much?
do that. I pre-ordered this shit. Dude, I just like Pokemon. It's just so easy to play for me. Like, I'll never grow out of Pokemon. I get every
It's
single
just
game.
mental.
And there's a part of me that does feel a little bit stung by this game. Like, it's good and I'm having a great time with it. Like, I sunk a lot of time into it already. And I'm like, I'm completing the decks, man. I've caught like over 100 Pokemon. You know, I'm going for the decks completion.
I'm happy for you.
But yeah, I can't deny that this game needed another 6 months in the oven, at least.
What? Give me the lowdown. What's going on?
It fucking runs like shit. It's the worst. It's the worst running game I've played since I can remember. I'm trying to go back in my brain and think of a game that's run worse than this. It's awful. I am running under 20 frames 90% of my playtime.
Jesus.
It's awful. Sometimes it's literally like a slideshow. Like it's truly awful. And like things literally just like characters and Pokemon and stuff like that, and like villages, NPCs, all that sort of stuff. If you're not like within 5 foot of that person or that building, it is running at 1 frame. Like that person is literally walking in like 1 frame animations, and you get close and it loads it in. Like the render distance is not the render distance. The render distance is actually fine because the world is actually completely persistent, and that's why they have to reduce all the fucking frames for everything that's not within dick touching distance of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it just runs like shit. But there is a fantastic game in there. Like the formula they've done, like I won't deny, it's got the most stuff you can do in a Pokemon game like ever. It's completely open, so you can do anything on whatever order you want. I could go challenge like the Dragon Gym if I wanted to, and just get my ass handed to me. Annoyingly enough, the game doesn't scale, so that fucking sucks. So like, if I went and did like the
So
fire
what you're
gym,
saying?
and then I do it in like a different order, for example, without knowing, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go do that bug gym at level 50. That bug gym, I'm fighting Pokemon at level 5. You know, it doesn't scale with you, which is a real missed opportunity, in my opinion. I feel like it would open up the game a lot more. But
Right. So what you're saying is that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the Dark Souls of Pokemon games.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And it really makes you feel like a Pokemon.
Yeah. This is better than Elden Ring's open world, in my opinion. But like, yeah, it's definitely got the most going for it, and the designs for this generation of Pokemon, fantastic. All that. The only thing I can complain about is just the performance. The actual game in there is fantastic. Hopefully they'll patch it and improve the performance. But there's no excuse for this. Like, you can't blame the Switch hardware. Breath of the Wild is on the Switch. Breath of the Wild looks 100 times better than this in terms of detail, textures, and all that. And it runs fucking magnificent. And it's a bigger world. It's the same size world, if not bigger. Like, there's no excuse. You can't be Game Freak and be like, oh, the Switch hardware's old. It's like, no. You just fucking rushed this game out. Like, you just wanted this game to go into Christmas bundles. Don't fucking lie to us.
Yeah. And it worked.
Every time. Sold 20 million. That's it. They're done. They're all sitting on beaches, drinking pina coladas.
That's right. So, like, do you think that this game... is this the future of Pokemon then?
Yes, yeah. This formula they've got with the
in terms of design.
Yeah, this formula they got with the whole roaming, seeing like Pokemon and stuff like that. Like, it's cool. You can literally just be like running, and there's just packs of Pokemon everywhere, which is just awesome. And like, you can actually see like shinies in the open world as well, which is so cool. You could literally be like,
Yeah, I
oh,
saw
that's
that.
a shiny Pokemon. That's fucking sick. They need like an audio cue for it because everything is so fucking small that sometimes you could just run past them. They need like an audio cue to be like ding, and so you know there's like a shiny there or something. Otherwise you could just miss it, you know. But yeah, all that sort of stuff is great and it feels fantastic. And they do anything in whatever option you want. They've added loads more activities as well. It's not just like get the badges, beat the Elite Four, done. You know, it's like you can do the badges, you can go do like these big like boss Pokemon and get these rare herbs and shit that like buff abilities for your Pokemon. You can take down like Team Star, which is like the Team Rocket of this game, like their bases and stuff like that. And there's like 6 bases, and then you take down their leader. That's all separate to like gym badges and Elite Four and stuff. So you could technically just play the game and just not even bother with the badges, and doing the standard Pokemon formula. And all of that along with, you know, the dex completion and the whole collecting aspect. There's so much content in the game. It's crazy. It just runs like shit. Like that's all it is. Fucking it's awful. And it runs better in handheld. People are saying just don't plug it into the TV, which is kind of stupid. You used to think that this actually runs better portable.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Than in your hands.
Yeah.
I don't know how that makes sense.
It's pretty cool when you can't use the feature on your console because it runs worse.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Yeah, it's really good. Just runs like ass, man.
Yeah, I mean, like so obviously I've seen a lot of chatter about it, and I should be clear, like I'm teasing, but like I've got no ill will towards Pokemon. I am like frequently shocked by the numbers that franchise sells, considering it's been on like a decade-long decline now. But I think like because I think about this like it's a bit analogous to Halo for me in terms of the same thing. Obviously, Infinite's had a bit more success, mixed, but overall a bit more success than 4 and 5. I think the quality debate largely is precluded by the fact that it targets a younger demographic. Do you know what I mean?
I'd say so.
Like parents aren't buying Halo Infinite for their kids because it's an 18. Well, you know, either way, it's like a 12 or an 18.
No way, Halo.
But Pokemon's an E.
Yeah, it's E.
No, you're probably right. Yeah. And my Master Chief just drops an F-bomb.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Cortana.
Yeah, bitch. What is it? 16 plus.
I think it like. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so it still stands. Yeah, I think it largely escapes that trap because parents are just like, kids know Pokemon, and they don't really understand quality yet, I guess. And again, that's not to say like you said, this is the like future. Like they've nailed it. They've got the formula right. It kind of, and that's great. And like I was eyeing this up, and I think I'll hang fire now. Because of the performance. Like and I've just got a lot to play at the moment. Like I'd rather be playing God of War. Like it's not portable, but I'd rather be playing God of War. And you know, my PS5 is still quite shiny and new. But that's good to hear. I mean, I'm happy for the Pokemon fans out there that are happy. But yeah, that is such a bonkers number. There's the single biggest platform exclusive launch ever, and it's on quite a mediocre scoring Pokemon.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just funny. That's just
funny it's just a shame, and it just shows that like the greed and the knowing of how big this franchise is for Nintendo, that they don't give this more time in the oven. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they know they released a game that was not finished, could do with a fuck ton more polishing, but they were just like, there's enough here. We're still gonna sell a fuck ton. Sure, we can make it so much better in 2 or 3 more months and polish this shit out. But it's Pokemon. People are gonna lap it up, you know, and they do.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real shame, but it just shows like laziness and almost like their heart's not fully in it a little bit because
and I do think to a degree, like this really dispels the myth that the reason Nintendo does so well is because all they do is churn out incredible first party games. And don't get me wrong, they're very good with their first party output. But that's not to say like there aren't very real and valid criticisms of their first party output, of their hardware, of the repetitiveness of like the reuse of IP. I mean, I think those are lots of valid concerns, but my point being that when a Pokemon game like this is cracking 20 million, it signals to me that there is a preference. Nintendo has nostalgia in them, and whether that plumps up sales where maybe it wouldn't for another publisher, or it plumps up review scores where it wouldn't for another publisher, whatever that effect is, this really shows to me that there is still, they've got another 20 years left in them of either people our age or maybe 10, 20 years older to squeeze that nostalgia juice out of them. Do you know what I mean? Like where people, it will just be bought regardless. So, but yeah, that's crazy. That is a crazy success. Like I can't see that ever being topped until the next Pokemon game. Like I don't even think Zelda will crack that, or even Mario Kart. The fact that it outsold Mario Kart, I don't know. That's just bonkers to me. I don't know.
Oh, Pokemon's one of the biggest franchises in the entire world, dude. Just outside of video games.
I know.
From like merch to TV to everything.
I know, but yeah, anyway. What fun. Yeah, and Joaquin says here sort of that the success of Pokemon makes the Sony statement about Microsoft wanting them to be like Nintendo that much more ironic. Yeah, so this is one of the things that they spoke about in Sony's statement to the CMA about the ABK deal. They sort of said, Xbox want to push us out of the 18 plus shooter market. They want to push us out of that so that we become more like Nintendo. And what me trying to decode what that means is like, oh, well, Nintendo are such a comes back to this. Nintendo are such a family focused platform. They're niche and they're narrow and who they not niche, sorry, but they're narrow in that they go for a demographic.
Yeah.
And if Microsoft does that to us, we won't stand a chance. We won't stand a chance. But then Nintendo drops 20 million sales in the first day, quadrupling the sales of God of War in a third of the time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, it just completely makes what they say redundant. Yeah, there's the market is kind of what you make of it. There's a market for E for everyone. There's a market for 18 plus. There's a market for fucking anime uwu girls. Like, you just make a good game,
big market.
And people will flock to your system. Like, it's not be all end all. Call of Duty is not the be all end all. It's like they're stuck in like fucking like 2000. Like they're just stuck in that time era where they still think COD is just like the pinnacle of all shooters. It's like, no, not really.
Well,
like, not at all.
Yeah, well, you're right. Well, and that's what, like, cause they've been making these other statements like, oh, Battlefield could never compete with COD, and it's like, well, there was a time where Battlefield did compete with COD. I mean, they fumbled. That's why it hasn't been. Yeah, and I mean, it could compete. I mean, it wouldn't get there overnight, but like a good Battlefield game, like if 2042 had hit last year, when what was it? Vanguard, the last one?
It was.
I think they would have had a good run.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Vanguard was very hated. Yeah, if Battlefield launched with a good reception, so many Call of Duty players would have flocked over to that, clocked in so many hours, and these Call of Duty gamers are kind of small brained sometimes. So if they, they go to Battlefield for a year and they enjoy it, they'll stick to Battlefield. They'll change their allegiance. Yeah, absolutely. It's stupid. We've always said it's stupid, like what they're saying. It's dumb as hell, man.
Yeah, and we'll come back around to a lot of this, but but like, you know, there is something to be said about like really Sony's strategy for the last 20 years, I would say, since from the end of the PlayStation 3 to now, has been okay. Let's make third-person action and adventure games with high production values. You know, 30 to 40 hours, maybe 20 to 40 hours long. Lots of cutscenes, lots of, you know, maybe some side missions thrown in there. That's us, and we're going to dominate that space. We're going to master that and master that formula, and they've done that. And now it's like, oh, like if the third party, if we don't have access to other genres via third party, we're actually going to be in trouble. And it's like, whose fucking fault is that?
Yeah.
Make another fucking game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you put all your eggs in one
Make a different type of game.
Yeah.
What was the last first-person shooter they made? Resistance?
Killzone. Yeah. Maybe.
Killzone? Right. 20 years ago. Yeah, no wonder. You know?
Yeah, I'm trying to think actually. Yeah, when was the last exclusive shooter they launched? I can't think of any on the top of my head.
Yeah,
probably is one.
That's what I mean.
I don't know. Yeah,
that's what I mean. So yeah, anyway, we'll come back around to all of that. But yes, it's interesting to see how Nintendo kind of has become an unwilling participant in the ABK, in the ABK deal. Okay, then let's get on to the main story. So the first thing that I really debated on keeping this in the notes, but I do think it's quite interesting. And it was 2 weeks ago, Xbox shared their community safety approach in their first what they're calling their first transparency report. And these are sort of the three bullet points of the key takeaways of what the team is sort of trying to do. Number one, we are taking action to offer better experiences. Number two, players are stewards of the community. And number three, players are in control. So just to pump some numbers out, just to sort of underline what's being said here, the Xbox team issued more than 4.33 million proactive enforcements against inauthentic accounts, representing 57% of the total enforcement in the reporting period. Also, our players provided over 33 million reports in this period, which with communications at 46% and conduct at 43%, accounting for the majority of player concerns. Mm-hmm. So I thought this was kind of, it's especially pertinent at the moment with the whole Elon Musk Twitter situation and this whole reinvigorated censorship and conversation that we're having again. What is kind of your thoughts on Xbox enforcement? Like, in your experience, is enforcement in like online gaming, I guess is where this mostly applies, is it where it needs to be? Does it need to be a harder fist, or like does it need to be firmer, or do you think a firmer hand would be going too far? Like, because I know we've got a friend who would say that like the enforcement on Xbox is too heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Do you think it's about the right place? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, because when we have done like personal like reporting and stuff like that, it's hard to know whether or not that actually got actioned and stuff like that from like a personal experience. So, but I mean, I think in terms of the way it's accessed and sort of, how easily it can be done, both through like in game and through Xbox UI itself as well. I think it's in a pretty good place, to be honest. And I think I've never seen any like or heard of any too outrageous like bans or things like that. Most of the time I feel like it's quite justified in the sense of how it's handled. So yeah, I think it's in a pretty good place. Yeah, I think any more strict, and it will just start to become a little bit annoying. But any looser, and yeah, like you said, people just start to push the boat out a little bit. I think it's at a pretty nice point.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because like I've definitely had my moments where I've like messaged like in Overwatch or messaged like out of frustration, never like offensively, like, but they're just like, come on, we need to do this or that, and it would I wouldn't want that to become the line that Xbox steps over. That it's like, oh, I didn't like your tone.
Yeah, didn't like the way you
like, I
told that
wouldn't.
guy to switch to Reaper. You're out.
Yeah, that's right. He was perfectly content playing Widowmaker for 20, shooting a Reinhardt shield for
Yeah.
25 minutes. He was having a good time, all right?
Yeah,
Then B.
exactly. Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't want it to go that far. And I think you're absolutely right. Like the next step, I love it when games give you feedback on feedback that you provide. Like when I report someone, tell me if what's happened or if something hasn't happened. Like even if it's just automated, like just tell me we've looked into this and we don't find that it breaches our terms of service. Okay, fine.
Or we looked into it and we've taken action, so you know that this man has got a strike to his name, or 1 or 2 day ban or something like that, from communications. Yeah, exactly. It'd be nice to know just how that's gone ahead, because there's no vision on that from, like, I can't speak personally and be like the reporting system works, because it's just like, I don't know. For all I know, that guy messaged the same thing, if not more aggressive, to someone else for the next 2 weeks straight. Nothing was done. So yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I think this is interesting. We'll see how this all continues to unfold. But yeah, generally, I do think Xbox is quite good with its moderation and its enforcement. But I guess maybe I don't know how the team monitors in-game stuff versus like just chat. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we've had some times we've been playing Overwatch and people have dropped some pretty disgusting shit in the chat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In the team chat. And you will report them in game and obviously on Xbox, but you never really know. Like, is Xbox, can they review that? I mean, I guess they like,
I
can
don't
they?
think
Like, I don't know.
anything.
So
I think in that example specifically, I don't think anything happens on Xbox's side of things. I think it's just be like a BattleNet ban. You can't log into any games with your BattleNet ID or your or anything like that. I don't think it would like ban the communication wise Xbox related. I think that lies with Blizzard and BattleNet specifically.
But there is an option for like voice chat though, isn't there? When you're going through it, like voice chat is one of the categories that you could pick, and that makes me think that unless that's just party chat, like
yeah, maybe. I'd like to think it's just party chat.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think having maybe they already do that, and this is a moot point, but maybe some communication between the departments of the Xbox enforcement team and then the game, like Battle.net, for example, or whether it's Respawn and the NEA, so they can trade this information just quickly and make sure people are getting punished for trolling and griefing and being hateful. So and offensive. So yeah, good overall, eh?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. I know this is kind of old news now, but I did just want to give Pentiment its flowers very quickly. It settled on an 86 Opencritic. I think to a lot of people's surprise, it was on 87 for the longest time with 73 critic reviews, and then it just slipped down as it went up to like mid 80. So it's like at the very top, but anyway, 86 is still a fantastic score for the type of game that it is. Unsurprisingly, it's not for everyone. But a lot of the people, like even some of the reviews I've listened to, even the people who have recognized that it's not for them are still saying there's a lot of quality here. This is so packed with detail that it's almost educational, because it's like historical, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I do plan to get round to this at some point. It got a 10 out of 10 from IGN, which a lot of people were using in the console war, because God of War also got a 10 out of 10, and it's really, I think it's really highlighted that conversation around scale of game and popularity of game, mass market. Some people will only play particular types of games, and not only that, will take a big shit on anything that isn't a God of War type game, and that's just sad. I mean, do you have anything to add about this whole situation?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, straight. Just kudos to Obsidian for Pentiment, as you said. Absolute banger, as predicted. You know, we
Yeah.
definitely saw this one coming, even though it's not particularly up my alley. I'm one of those gamers. I'm one of those good gamers
Mhm.
that is like, I ain't gonna play this, but I respect it for what it is, and I'm sure it's a fantastic
Yeah.
game. You know, but yeah, I completely agree that we need to get past this whole just if it's not specifically the type of game you want, you just shit on it. Like, you can say that you're not going to play it, that's fine, but there's no reason to attack it just because it's something you won't play. Like, that's so weird in my eyes. Like, I would never ever do that. And yeah, people just need to just sort of grow out of that. It's just an extremely immature way to just view gaming. Like, gaming is an art form, and art is, you know, shown in so many different ways. So just
That's
grow
right.
up. Like, yeah.
And that's the thing. I think most of the time people really don't mind, but as soon as people start putting it into this console war like framework, it just becomes this annoying like list war
Yeah, we
comparison.
have
It's
this.
like,
Oh yeah, but we have
oh,
this. Yeah,
the
but we,
graphics.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's like, it's just so tiring. Can we not just view games as games? Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like when we're like, yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think like to the bigger point of this is that this really, and I didn't see much conversation about this actually, given that I guess maybe because it is smaller in size, but really this is the first post acquisition uh exclusive, really. You
Oh
could
yeah.
argue Grounded was a first party, I should add. Like, you know,
Yeah.
obviously things like Flight Sim and Forza all came out last year, Psychonauts, yada yada. They're multi-platforms, you know, things like
Mm.
that. Definitely. Pentiment's the first like full release, first party exclusive. Barring maybe Grounded, depending on how you feel about that, because it was in early access quite early on. It went in early access after the acquisition as well, so you definitely could make the argument that Grounded was. But to me, Pentiment is like the cutoff line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
I would
like,
say so.
okay, yeah, this is like the turnaround now. That's how I'm feeling. And Grounded was only came out like a month or two before, only like last month or something, didn't it? So even
Yeah.
then, and Grounded reviewed well. It reviewed at like mid 80, 85, 84 or something.
Yep.
And
Yep.
this it's now being an 86. It's good. Like even though this has been a dry year, you know, if we're gonna do the whole count review averages across the year for first party, Xboxes would be quite high. It's just that they've been smaller and there haven't been many of them.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm really hoping this is it. We're finally here. This is the this is the turnaround. We're going to start the year strong with like Atomic Heart, maybe Dark Tide. We'll see. Um, yeah. We'll see. Redfall, then Starfield, and whatever else Xbox has up their sleeve for next year. You know, maybe a Forza as well. This is it. This needs to be it.
Yeah.
We've got momentum. It's small. It's small momentum, but it's there. I can feel it. I can feel it rolling. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, big congrats to the team. We know Obsidian are good. I really hope that this sort of quality carries through to something like Avowed. That's I think what that's kind of galvanized a lot of people in a way. You know, like Obsidian. When's the last time Obsidian made a bad game? They're so
Never.
versatile. They made a South Park game. The guy who led Pentiment led the development of New Vegas, of Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, they made South Park Stick of Truth. Grounded. Avowed's coming up. Do you know, there's such a variety of games here. Arguably, they're one of Xbox's best studios.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Outer Worlds.
Yeah. No, I go as far as saying they definitely are one of Xbox's best studios. Yeah. 100%. They're big.
I can't actually remember where we put them on our tier list, which is because it's coming up to that time where we're gonna do another tier list.
Yeah, I think we definitely put them A tier, at least.
Yeah, we wouldn't have put them below A tier. I'm just curious if we put them A or S. Let me just check. I've got it in my note in my file somewhere. I don't think I ever deleted it. There it is. Let's have a look. Because we're gonna have to review this. I'm really interested to see how we're going to feel about this when we go over it again.
Yeah, I don't think we need to review it for a little while. We need to wait
year.
for more
Sorry, next year.
releases. Yeah, but
yeah, I think like what we did last year. Did we do it? I'll have to double check. I can't remember if we did it before the showcase or after the showcase. I think we did it just before and kind of the build up. But let's check. Yeah, we put them in S tier.
yeah, okay, yeah. I was about to say it was at least A.
We had it.
A
Yeah,
test.
we had it right. We had it right.
Yeah,
we knew.
They don't make bad games, dude.
They don't. They really don't. Okay, what's next? Game Awards. Let's do it.
Oh,
I'm
screenshot
ready.
time.
I'm heated. Yes, please.
Okay.
So
Shabam.
if you just click on the link I've got there, yeah, it should take you. It should be a screen with all the categories on it.
Okie dokie. Copy link. Shablamo.
So for video watchers, we're just going to go through. We're not going to go through every single category because there's things like best esports, like best content creator. I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But we will go through sort of the main ones, the ones that interest us, just to kind of review how we feel about them and kind of reflect on them, I suppose. For audio listeners, we'll do our best to describe what we're talking about at each one. And I need to make a timestamp.
You do.
When did I start talking about this? About 30 seconds ago. 5:30. TGAs. Ah, that's the stuff. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, so I guess to preempt this, there's a couple of things I wanted to go through beforehand. And I definitely don't want to sound like the person who runs an Xbox podcast that complains that Xbox isn't, getting nominated on a weak year. Like, obviously, yeah, we kind of expected this, but there is some there is some fishiness here. Yeah. So, like, just to clarify the history we've had for the last 2 years, at the very least. Last year, just as a reminder, smack my head on my microphone. I hope I didn't give you any noise. Sorry,
I heard a metallic ting.
Forza Horizon 5 last year scored 92 on Opencritic. Right, that's 1 or 2 points below what God of War is this year.
Mm-hmm.
Highest rated game of the year. Highest rated game of the year.
Correct.
Full stop. Didn't even get nominated for Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
It did get nominated for Best Racing Game. Obviously won it.
Yeah.
So what's happening there? There was a lot of controversy at the time. We spoke about it back then. We've spoken about it already on the podcast. Some Jez Corden from Windows Central emailed out to a couple of outlets at the time to kind of ask what happened, why wasn't it reviewed? And it turns out there was unclear messaging around when the cutoff date was because Forza it had like a week-long early access period if you pre-ordered.
Mm-hmm.
And that early access period, I think, if my memory serves, was before the cutoff of the TGAs for the Game of the Year nomination.
Yeah.
And supposedly a lot of the outlets were not sure if they could vote for Forza Horizon 5 because of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not getting all the details correct, but essentially, to summarize, there was confusion around when the outlets could vote for the Game of the Year, when the latest was, especially for a game that was in early access.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clarified by Jeff that it could have, by Jeff Keighley, that it could have been voted for, but it just wasn't.
I see.
So, okay, fine, but not fine. Actually,
but like
bit annoying.
It's understandable. You can kind of see where the issue
checks out.
lied. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a mistake. Nobody dies. It's fine. Not the end of the world, is it? The highest rated game of the year doesn't get voted. It doesn't get nominated for game of the year. Okay, a bit annoying, but world keeps turning. That's fine.
Correct.
Let's have a look at this year.
Oh no.
Grounded, 83 on Opencritic. Got no nomination in any category. Halo Infinite,
wait,
87 Opencritic, got no nomination in any category. Pentiment, 87 on Opencritic, got no nomination in any category.
No. I didn't think
What
that...
are we doing here?
I just thought they didn't get nominated for like the Game of the Year category, and we were like a little bit... No category for Grounded.
No nomination, baby.
How's Halo Infinite not...
That recency bias, dude.
How's that not got like
you know what?
best multiplayer?
Here's
like,
the
at
fucking
least
thing.
a nomination.
Here's the fucking thing. Here's the fucking thing. If Halo Infinite launched within the voting period last year, that game would have gotten several nominations. But because we've now got this recency bias, and the service has been bad, and there's this kind of framing, which is fair, which is totally fair. It's this framing effect where it's no longer being viewed through like an objective lens. It's like, well, the game hasn't, had a good service, but that doesn't take away how good the campaign was. That doesn't take away how good it was in its opening months. I'm not asking for it to be nominated in the best ongoing game category. Fuck no.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely not.
Shit. It should be voted
Best performance. Best performance. What's her fucking name? Jen Taylor. Is that her name? Jen Taylor? Who voices Cortana, and the weapon, and Halsey. She voiced 3 people in that game, and they're all the same person because they're all clones of each other, obviously. But there's just enough nuance that you understand the difference between them. Not even a nomination. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what? So, and this is the thing. I think for each of them, you could make an argument as like, oh well, Halo Infinite makes sense because the service has been really bad, and therefore, people aren't going to remember it as fondly. Okay, but fine, but you can't take away that it had a rocking first month or two, and it still had a good campaign, and it still hit 87 on Opencritic. It's like a Spider-Man number. It's like Horizon. Those games, we can all agree are probably Game of the Year contenders. In fact, Forbidden West is a Game of the Year contender. And not that I expect Halo Infinite should have been a Game of the Year nominee. That's not what I'm saying. But I think a nomination in some category
how's it
probably
not,
in order.
The one I'm hovering over now. How is it not even a nomination for most anticipated? Like, I know that's like still a pretty shit category. Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was like anticipation leading into what released this year. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so for next year.
Okay. No,
but best, fine. Not even a nomination in score. Like, the game had such a good score.
Yeah.
Like, it's still probably one of my favorite scores. Fine, all subjective. That's fine. I'm not saying it needs. I'm saying, is it not a little bit shocking that it didn't get a single nomination?
Yeah.
The game did a lot of things right, guys.
Yeah. I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Best esports event. Like, a lot of people were saying that the esports for Halo Infinite have been the best they've ever been.
Yeah.
Like, even though, and then Pentiment, obviously, it released 3 days before the cutoff or something like that. Oh, so it got no nominations. So for, I don't know if the same things happened again, because Pentiment got like a handful of 10 out of 10s. Do you know?
Yeah.
So, like, has there been some confusion on where the cutoffs are, or do people just not really vote for it? So, I guess what I'm saying here is, because I'm just trying to keep it simple with like Occam's razor. Make the least assumptions where possible. You probably could make an argument that each one of these games I've listed for this year, there's a reason here, there, tucked behind your ear, that it didn't get a nomination in any category. But no other publisher seems to have this difficulty. No other publisher we ever have to like bend backwards and crab walk down the street to try and explain why a game hasn't gotten a single nomination.
Yeah. Agreed.
Do you see what I mean?
I see exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Pentiment came out 1 week after God of War Ragnarok. 1 week. And it got no nominations.
Bit sus, isn't it?
So is this just a case? Is it just a case of like, people like really liked it, but it didn't? Nobody thought it deserved anything in any category, or maybe God of War Ragnarok review codes went out like significantly earlier. I know they did go out like a week in advance, but is that really enough to like justify? And that's what I mean. Like, I find like I'm going around in circles doing mental gymnastics to try and explain why nothing got a nomination in any category, but no other publisher has this difficulty. So I just wanted to preface that, I'm just asking questions, and I'm not saying I'm making any accusations. I'm just asking questions, but nothing for Grounded, Infinite, and Pentiment is so silly for me. It is. I'm sorry. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not a single nomination. I'm not asking for any of these things to get an award. I don't know if that's up to the panel. But a nomin, like,
especially something like Grounded, like how's that not like on there for like best like ongoing or something like that? Like that game's had like great support running through and great updates, and its full release going into 1.0 was phenomenal as well. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's so weird to me, dude.
I'm wondering if Grounded did get any, like, if it was counted as a launch when it came out in its early access, because maybe if that happened, it disqualifies it from, from being nominated again in any category. I don't think, like, I've just given it a quick Google search and I can't see anything about it. But Game Awards, Grounded, no. So anyway, yeah, that's all I'm saying. I don't ever see another publisher having this sort of difficulty. And I don't really have anywhere else to take that, because then I start going into pointing fingers territory, which I don't really believe is the case. I just think that is a bit crazy to me. Like you said, especially like with how unique Grounded is, as we get towards the end with something like Stray being nominated for Game of the Year and Grounded not.
That's a joke.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Like, if we are going to have a token indie game, being the Game of the Year nomination selections, why not even Vampire Survivors? Like,
yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. All right, let's go through some of the categories then. So, what are some of the interesting ones at the bottom? Let's go through actually some of the ones that we would have a say in.
So from the bottom, you've got best adaptation, most anticipated, best esports game, best esports athlete, esports team, esports coach. Just a lot of esports, and most anticipated.
So, start with anticipated, and then you just take us through what you think is going to be good for us to talk about, because it's too slow to update, and it'll just be a lot of umming and ahhing.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so most anticipated games is on there right now. So these are the ones most anticipated.
Do you want to read them out for our audio listeners?
Yeah, for our audio listeners, we've got Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4 remake, Starfield, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
I can't. The Tears of the Kingdom one, I can't unsee that meme. I've got saved on my phone.
Is it actually Tears or is it Tears? Because Tears is spelled the same way, isn't it?
It is, but I don't feel like that makes very much sense. I don't know. It's got to be Tears.
It's got to be Tears. Yeah.
I've got that meme on my phone of the title card of Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, but like the letters are blocked out and it says "End the Tears King."
End of Tears King.
End of Tears King.
That's a great name. It's so catchy. It's right off the tongue.
Yeah. Hogwarts Legacy.
I'd say I agree. Yeah, dude. Hogwarts Legacy is mad hyped. Like, I think a lot of people are looking forward to that. I'd be quite surprised if that wasn't on there, in all honesty. You're surprised seeing that, are you?
A little bit. It makes sense, the IP size. It makes sense, but I guess, and what we've seen so far has looked like kind of cool. I don't know. I just don't have all that much confidence in that game. I guess.
Yeah,
because it just keeps getting delayed, and I don't know.
I think it looks like be a bit of a banger, to be honest. I'm actually quite excited to see it. I know that my girlfriend's gonna get it, so I'll be quite excited to see how it plays and mooch off her a little bit.
Yeah, no, I for sure, I'm rooting for it for sure. Like a good Harry Potter game, like, it makes me feel patriotic a little bit, so I would, by all means, like, nail this game. And that's what I think a good Harry Potter game could be, like, amazing. Like, it could be really good. Harry Potter has such a tone that nothing else kind of hits.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a cult, but it's also child friendly. and it's kind of like fish out of water a little bit. You know, it's
Yeah.
just kind of has this cool kind of zone that it occupies.
Yeah.
What are you voting here?
I am probably. I'm torn because I'm a big fan of a lot of these games on here. But I'd say
you're pretty hyped for Final Fantasy, aren't you?
I am, because the fucking lead director for the Devil May Cry 5 combat is on this game, and Devil May Cry 5 was fucking amazing. I'd say I'm torn between Starfield and Final Fantasy 16 here, with Resident Evil 4 a close third. But I'm voting Starfield, probably.
It's like almost a bit of fear behind your eyes there. Like I'm gonna, like my hand's gonna come through the screen.
Like as much as I am a Final Fantasy fan, like I just think Starfield has just a ridiculous amount of potential for what this game could be.
Yes.
In terms of replayability and in terms of just really hitting that itch we've all been waiting for another Skyrim-esque just lose yourself in an RPG. Like I feel like I haven't had that for a little while. I got that with Elden Ring, don't get me wrong, but then Elden Ring, I feel like as much as Elden Ring immerses you, I feel like when Elden Ring kicks your ass 10 times in a row and a boss is raping you, it kind of takes you out of that you're engrossed in a world sort of feeling. Yeah,
it's not, and it's not like RPG heavy, is it? It's not like the Outer Worlds, where it's like RPG. You know, build your own character. You know, make these decisions, pick your companions. You know, where we end up always picking the same type of character by accident.
We do.
I still remember that when we logged on after playing for 2 days, and we were both like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be like a smooth talking, pistol wielding space cowboy." I was like, "That's what I'm doing." Like, can't you do something else?
I ain't changing now. No, you change. Yeah, no, we definitely have that in all RPGs. But yeah, that's why Starfield's getting my vote here, I think. What about you?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's no surprise to hear that Starfield is getting my vote here. Like
we're an Xbox podcast.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, like I was going to say, like it would have been a bit closer had we not seen the gameplay that we saw last year. But I think I would have still voted Starfield anyway. But I remember, you know, when we sat down and watched that for the reactions video, just being like, wow, like, okay, there was a bit of frame hitching here and there. Like, do I really need to point to Pokemon again? Like, you know, a game that runs at 20 frames and has been gobbled up as much as it has. Like a little bit of bad pacing on frames in a showcase that's over a year out from its release is not killing my hype for this game.
Yeah,
you know, all the variety of planets, the flying around, like making your own spaceship and then like flying out and going on these adventures to make your spaceship better, to go further into space. Like the upgrades in graphics as well. Like, okay, it's not cutting edge like God of War is, but it's a lot better. And it's, you know, the facial animations look much better and the combat look much better as well. You know, again, it doesn't need to be like a Call of Duty level shooter. It's an RPG first, you know?
Yeah.
And all of that looked so exciting to me. Like you said, the sheer potential is what makes it anticipated there. And from what we've seen so far, I think it's looking very good. And all those skills and the skill trees, like, yeah, like I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Choo.
All right, well that's that category done then. But yeah, I agree with most things in there, to be honest. That's not much. Do I press back and I have to go and click on view all categories again? Okay, so what should we do next? Should we have a look at best multiplayer for this year?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're multiplayer gamers.
We are.
Okay. So we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Multiverses, which is nice to actually see up there, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, and whatever the fuck this is, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, apparently.
What do you mean? You haven't played that? Yeah, that's what they launched day one on Game Pass, and everyone was like beaming about that. Yeah, it got like 89 on Opencritic or something.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh,
yeah.
I had no idea. What is it? Like a side scroller, like beat 'em up?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. 4-player, 5-player, I think actually. Because you can play as April. Is that her name? The lady? Maybe
Oh.
6-player because you can play Shredder. Oh no, the Rat Boy. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even I quite liked it when I played. I tried to get Beth to play with me, but she wasn't vibing with it. But it was fun.
Oh,
I
damn,
can't lie
dude.
to you.
I had no idea. Yeah. How's this not been brought up? Because we like these sort of games. So we enjoyed Battletoads. I'm surprised it's hasn't been brought up.
I'm sure I mentioned it. I'm sure I
Okay.
mentioned it at some point.
I feel like
I can't lie to you. I'm giving my vote to Multiverses, like straight up.
Yeah, you're not giving it to Overwatch just on the issues it's got with its like store.
Yeah, like
and
I'm
progression.
loving Overwatch 2, but I don't think like Multiverses is the only new IP here.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that deserves some recognition.
I think Multiverses is kind of dying now. I think it's really. I don't want to use the term dying. That's toxic, but like I think it's.
I'm sure it's tapered off.
I think it's dropped off like quite substantially in people's eyes.
I'm sure it has, but like I don't know. Like how big does the online how big does the online crowd of Smash Bros really stay? I know there's a lot of public interest in Smash Bros, but like what are the player counts? Like how many people are playing online for that game really?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And that's on a long running franchise. Like Multiverses is brand new, and really it's still in its its first 6 months, first year of its life cycle. Yeah, I think it deserves recognition. I think it's really fun. I think it takes a 2v2 approach. I think the combat can be a bit quick sometimes, but overall I think it feels different enough to feel not like a Smash clone. And I think that was really impressive that they managed to do that, and they managed to make these characters and make them feel fun and different. Yeah, I'd be giving my vote to Multiverses here.
Okay, interesting. I'm probably going to give mine to Overwatch 2. As much as Overwatch 2 does have its issues, and I know it's pretty copy paste from Overwatch 1. I just think I think the 5v5 change up was really great. It's changed the entire pacing of the game. And yeah, they got some hitches with their store and progression and stuff like that. But it's just fucking great to be back. I'm just really enjoying Overwatch, so I'm probably going to give it to that. Yeah. It's
still good. It's still good.
It's still very good. It really annoys me that when I press back, I have to click on here again. Okay, so let's go for, I think, sports racing. Nah. Sim strategy. Nah. Fighting. Should we go best role playing?
Let's do it.
I don't know what kind of role playing games have been out this year. Okay, so you got Elden Ring in there. You got Live or Live Alive. I guess it's Live Alive.
I don't know. I've heard that everybody gets confused when they say it, and I also get confused.
Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So very Japanese, this category.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, the only one kind of Western here. So
it's a very Nintendo heavy category.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Triangle Strategy and Xenoblade, I think. Yeah, and Pokemon Arceus, I think they're all Switch. They're all Nintendo exclusives. I'm not sure about Live Alive. I'm not sure if that's multiplayer or not.
Yeah.
It does say Square Enix Nintendo, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Okay. Yeah. Very Nintendo heavy. Yeah. I've heard Triangle Strategy is very good, but I mean it's pretty obvious where our votes are going for this, right?
What does the text say just above the pictures? It just says I can just see multiplayer experiences. What
Sorry. What? Yeah. So for the underneath role playing. Okay. So, for the best game designed with rich player, character customization, and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough. But I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm not voting. Well, to be fair, I don't have experience with any of these other games other than Elden Ring. I've heard good things about Xenoblade Chronicles and Triangle Strategy. I know Arceus got like a reasonably well reviewed as well. It's weird that they it makes the whole Pokemon thing double weird when they already had a Pokemon game released this year. They're like, yeah, just get the next ones out.
Yeah. Oh, what's even weirder?
Two of them.
Arceus actually looks better than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, like graphically, and the way they handled the open world. It's actually gotten down in
And
visual
that looked bad. Yeah.
fidelity. So yeah, we're voting Elden Ring here. I've watched a playthrough of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's not something I'd ever buy, but it's quite interesting to watch and just sort of have on in the background. But yeah, Elden Ring for best RPG, definitely.
No doubt.
There. And what? Let's do. Shall we do? So you got best action / adventure, and then best action.
Let's do both.
Yeah, best action / adventure. Okay, so wow, I was not expecting to see that there. Okay, so we got a Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray's wiggled its way in here, and Tunic as well. Which Tunic is the really big surprise to me. I was not expecting to see Tunic there.
A lot of people feel like Tunic should have like had the Game of the Year nomination, and it did. It got 3 votes for Game of the Year. Stray got 6, but it was in contention.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so
It's
for
good.
the
I played it.
category, we got for the best action / adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. I find this hilarious considering I think the traversal in Stray was gutted to what it could have been. It was just like, it's weird that you got traversal and puzzle solving and they simplified that so hard in Stray for what it could have been. And that's one of the main points of your category. I feel that's a bit odd, but yeah.
For me right now, I didn't finish Tunic. I did play like the first 2 hours. I did like it, but I just I didn't keep my attention. I don't think it was the game's fault. I just think I had other stuff going on. I've obviously completed A Plague's Tale, and I am about 18 hours into God of War right now. But for action adventure, did you say there was an action category as well?
Yeah, there is an action category as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a real toss-up. I'd have to complete God of War to finish because some of the locales in that game are really wonderful. Like some of the adventure elements are really fantastic. So I like some of the side quests are just fantastic. No spoilers, they like end up changing some of the biomes. Like it's just awesome. But having said that, like I wouldn't be voting for action here. I think the action was the weakest part of A Plague Tale. The adventure part was quite cool. It's very gritty. It didn't have this kind of fantastical side to it. It was just kind of, and it wasn't. That's not to say it's just full of browns and blacks. It's not. But you go through lots of quite cleverly designed environments that are visually interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a real toss-up. I'd probably lean towards God of War for this category. But it depends. It depends how it unfolds. I did love Plague Tale as well. So yeah. What about you? You guys, but you don't really have a horse in this race, do you?
No. So based on the fact I'm not really keen on A Plague Tale. I respect it for what it is, but I didn't play the first one, didn't play the second one. Not sure they're really my type of games. I might quite like them if I gave them a go. But yeah, in terms of from what I've seen and played and stuff like that, I think if we're going into like the adventure side of things and like combat, traversal, like the world, all that sort of thing, I watched a fair amount of my girlfriend play Horizon Forbidden West, and that game looked absolutely stunning, and you can't deny
fantastic
in the way they handle like enemies in that game and how you take them out with your equipment and combat. Like it's fucking amazing. It's like the closest you're gonna get to like morphing Monster Hunter into like a story driven like game. And it gives me sort of Dragon's Dogma kind of vibes too, a little bit.
Yeah,
in a sense of how you handle everything.
I loved the combat in the first one. It was so fun.
Yeah, so I think just based on that and the versatility in how you take down everything, the designs of everything, I'm probably going to go for Forbidden West here. I'm gonna go with that.
I think that's totally fair. I mean, this is Sony's category.
Yeah, and best action game will also be.
This is
Sony's
what they do.
category.
Action adventure.
Oh, this is odd. So best action game. There's actually not a single Sony game in here. So we've got so for the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. Okay, interesting. So you got Bayonetta 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Neon White, which I heard is really good. I've heard Neon White is very good. Yeah,
So I got 3 Game of the Year nominations as well.
Okay, you're lagging a bit. You came in a bit late, and I think you're lagging a bit, but you're good. Sifu, and then another nomination for TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Mate, this game's coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah, I just wanted to I've been hopefully I'm not lagging anymore, but I've just had a look at my comments because I've been on full screen, in the chat, should I say. My comments are like a Facebook old man. And Joaquin said that also consider this is back from when I was ranting earlier about what was going on with the Xbox Studios games. Also consider that No Man's Sky is nominated for Community Game. I think we're probably getting to that category. Maybe I should have saved it for then. Anyway, but Sea of Thieves, Fallout 76, and ESO haven't been nominated, even though they dwarf No Man's Sky in terms of player base. So I just wanted to quickly read that out. We'll come back around to that when we do the community category, but I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely revisit that in community. Yeah, but so action. So this is primarily based on combat, and you got Bayonetta 3, Modern Warfare 2, Neon White, Sifu, and TMNT Shredder's Revenge again. Yeah. So let me have a look at Neon White actually. If this is the game I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I haven't played any of these games, but I know these are. I can't. Other than COD, I know these have all been pretty well received.
Yeah, this is
Neon White's the one which has my most interest.
Yeah, it's like that card, like almost deck building first-person shooter, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that looked really interesting to me. I really actually haven't played any of these, so I'm just gonna go off feel
what
I know about them. So it's a tough one between Bayonetta 3 and Neon White for me, because I'm just a big fan of. I've played Bayonetta in the past and really enjoyed it, and I'm just a big fan of that style of combat, being a DMC fan. But I mean, in terms of being innovative and sort of indie and cool, I'm probably gonna go Neon White here.
Yeah, I think so as well. That's the one I have the most interest in, probably followed by Sifu. I don't know if that. I mean, it'll come to Xbox at some point, but that got pretty good reviews too, and again, got a couple of Game of the Year nominations too. They both look really fun. And Neon White, I'm just waiting to come to Xbox, and I'll play that. It's a Nintendo exclusive at the moment, I think, in a timed capacity. But don't be surprised if this is something that. It could go either way, but like I said, don't be surprised if this is something that PlayStation gets and then make timed exclusive for another year.
Yeah, definitely. That's a PlayStation move, dude.
It's, Japanese, they like to. That's why I think they'll just keep that synergy up.
Yeah, so let's try and do. Okay, so best community support. Here we go. So best community support. This is based around Joaquin's comment as well. So in this category, it is for recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity, game updates, and patches. And you got Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, which is the MMO one, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. We know what's winning this category. Doesn't really matter what we vote, but
that is a bit. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess while we're on the topic, actually, I've to Sea of Thieves had its recent series, season 8 update. I don't know if you've seen anything about it, but there's essentially opt-in PvP. which it was, but the way they've done it is very, very cool. You know, and the way that they do everything, all the mechanics they introduce are very like, you don't just go into a loading screen and do it. It's like part of the world, and
Yeah.
you go to your desk and you turn the like what are they called?
Sundial.
Sand timers. Is that what they're called?
Hourglass.
Hourglass, that's the one. And you choose which side you want to be on. You know, I can't remember the names, but you know, it's like Captain Flameheart and then another one. And your ship like goes underwater, and you like, you know, you're underwater down in the reefs, and there's sharks and mermaids swimming around, and then you burst back up right like head on with another ship who's done the same thing in the world. Like you're not in a separate instance, you're in the world. And then you fight, and you know, if you do it, you get rewards, and
that's cool.
You know, gold and everything for that faction. Yeah, it's just very cool. But I think that came out after this. But nonetheless, yeah, it is a bit surprising to not. I think like at some point people have got to start turning around on Fallout 76. Like, because I've heard good things about 76 for like a year now. And I don't know. At some point, I would like to give it an earnest try again. I really would. But I mean, I guess like I feel like No Man's Sky's in this category every year, and that had the same level of kind of backlash and then comeback.
Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah, for some reason, everyone seems to have this soft spot for No Man's Sky for what it's turned into, but they're not giving the same treatment to Fallout 76. Everyone just seems to have kind of still dismissed that game a little bit. And yeah, I'm kind of. I mean, maybe I was kind of surprised not to see Grounded in here, but I guess Grounded's updates are a bit too slow, right? They're a bit too far apart. They're not as consistent as something like Apex and Destiny, which deliver something. Or Apex delivers something every 3 months. Destiny's like every 6 or something, pretty consistently. Yeah. I guess that's what it comes down to, but yeah. And Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, and I mean of the nominees here, I don't really have much experience with any of them other than Apex. But Fortnite have continued to do Fortnite things, you know, with their like ridiculous speed of updates. No Man's Sky, like you know, I every time I do see like an update video for that game go out, I always watch it.
Yeah.
Like introducing the newest update, I always want. They're like 2-minute videos. I'm like, that's really cool. I'm probably not going to play it, but I do actually have it installed on my drive just to like maybe one day I'll boot it up while I'm listening to a podcast or something. Like by like, you know, regardless of what we just said, I do think they have done a fantastic job, and it always looks really good. So that's great. Final Fantasy 14, I know, is continuing to do really well, but like I can only really give my vote to Apex here. Respawn are typically very good with their responsiveness.
Apex's update cadence is very good. You can't deny that. Every 3 months, they deliver a pretty decent chunk of content to keep things fresh. And they make these pretty beautiful, well detailed maps at the drop of a hat. Sometimes it feels like they really whack this sort of stuff out so quickly. And when you look at other people competing in the same space as it, like Warzone and stuff like that, it's so much slower for them. Like it's ridiculous. Like Apex do it so much faster. Destiny always, every time there's a Destiny update, I really want to go back. Like they do a great job in restylizing every single expansion like really well, I think. And like drawing people back in. And the newest one does look so cool with the new powers and stuff like that. The new element they've introduced. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to Apex too. But we know Fortnite's winning this category. Let's be honest.
You're probably right.
Yeah, so let's go to best indie. Let's go to best indie. We pretty got to speed this up because we've been going for close to 2 hours already, and yeah, I don't want to be here all day. So best indie for outstanding creative technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. You got Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, Sifu, Stray, and Tunic.
That's the indie category, yeah?
Indie, yeah.
Okay. It's a cool selection. I'm a bit bummed out something like Immortality isn't here. I mean,
When
maybe
did
that
Death's
doesn't
Door
quite
come
hit the
out?
threshold. That was last year.
That was last year. Okay. Wasn't sure if that was this year.
I've only played Cult of the Lamb here, which I've spoken about on the show. Generally had a pretty mixed experience because it was just so fucking buggy, and I don't know why nobody's talking about that. The game was like had two or three of the core game mechanics just didn't work. Like you would do these daily like seances where you would essentially suck experience out of your followers, right? But you go into your tent and you bring them all in and you'd suck experience out of them. But one of the bugs that was in the game for months was that it would cap out at 6. So if you had more than 6 followers, you couldn't bring like 10, 11, 12 in to get double the experience. It would cap out at 6, which meant that you got less experience, which meant it was harder to foster your cult. Like the cosmetics just didn't work. They would like glitch and like blink in and out. So you couldn't use any of the cosmetics, like the to change your base or your camp or anything like that. And there were other things as well where like in the roguelite bits, the combat bits, enemies would pop out of the map and you wouldn't be able to hit them because they were on the outside. And that would ruin a 20-minute run.
Yeah.
And you just have to reboot, and that's that. I loved it when it worked properly, and I ended up waiting a couple months and going back and finishing off like the back 30%. And I really liked it. I had a really good loop when I played it. And I imagine if you played it now from start to finish, you'd have a great time. It's like a really good 8 or 8.5 out of 10. But I couldn't rightfully vote for it in this category because of that. So I can't vote for anything because I haven't played enough of any of them.
Yeah, it's tough to vote for this. I think just based on what I played, unfortunately, even though it was buggy, I think the potential there and probably what it is now. I'd go Cult of the Lamb for that one. I definitely think it's better than Tunic, Stray, and Sifu, even if I had played them. And Neon White's just a question mark because I haven't. So by default, I'll give it to Cult of the Lamb. But yeah. All right. So best ongoing. Okay, so best ongoing is basically the exact same category. But Genshin Impact is in there as well. So we won't bother doing this. It's basically the same as on like support. Like it's a bit weird how they're not categories.
That's fine.
Let's go for games for impact, best performance, audio design. You want to do any of those, like audio design or best performance? Best performance.
Yeah, we'll have a look at audio design. I know games for impact is like best social and pro-social messaging. I think Dusk Falls was in there, which was quite nice to have a nod to that. Not a first party game, but I was surprised again not to see As Dusk Falls in any other categories. But it did review high 70s rather than in the 80s, so I think that's more understandable. But I really enjoyed As Dusk Falls. I'd totally recommend it. But yeah.
All right, so yeah, best audio design. Best in-game audio and sound design. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, or Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, cool. Those are some pretty interesting nominations. It is good in God of War. I don't know if it's as good as Elden Ring though.
Elden Ring does have some pretty fantastic like boss music and sound effects for just everything, like just hitting enemies or clashing against things. Elden Ring
just so much of it as well.
Very good, yeah. Like you can't deny some of the sound design in that game genuinely just gets the blood pumping when fighting enemies and bosses and stuff. Like it's pretty exceptional the way it handles that.
Yeah. I'd be leaning Elden Ring for sure.
Yeah, I'm going Elden Ring. And yeah. I mean Call of Duty is always a banger, but in terms of its gun sounds and stuff like that.
It always has good audio design. Yeah.
Let's do best performance quickly. I'm interested to see. Horizon Forbidden West, Plague Tale. So I'm guessing the main character in Plague Tale. God of War Ragnarok, Immortality, and God of War Ragnarok again. So I'm guessing that's Kratos and whatever his son's name again is, I forgot. Not sure about Immortality, and then Plague Tale and Horizon. Yeah, interesting again.
Oh yeah, I tweeted. I can't see what her name is for Immortality. And she responded. I was really glad she got a nomination in that because obviously Immortality is FMV, so it's full motion video, so it's like video recordings. It's not motion cap or anything.
Yeah.
And that was great. The performances in God of War are really good as well. When we watched the previews, I was like a little bit concerned about. His name is Sonny, isn't it? Sonny. Yeah, Treyas. I was a little bit concerned about.
Soldic, yeah.
But like, nah, it's not a problem.
Okay.
It was just the trailers. Yeah, so he's very, very good. They're both very, very good. Plague's Tale, I think it's Amicia for her. She was very good as well. Yeah, I know Aloy from the first Horizon, but I mean, I guess I don't know. I feel like the character was so bland that it couldn't really get any good performance out of Ashley Birch. To be honest, maybe the second one's different, but I'd be happy with any of them. I think if I had to pick something, I'd probably pick Immortality.
Okay.
I'd probably pick what's Amon Gage? Is that her name?
Manon.
No, Gage. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I'd probably pick her. I do think she was very, very good.
Nice.
Just closely followed by probably the three of them, Amicia and both God of War. They're both very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've got best score and music, art direction, narrative, game direction, or game of the year. Which of those we want to do? Or maybe all of them quickly.
Do direction. We'll just do direction and then maybe narrative and then game of the year.
Okay. Ooh, this is quite spicy. Yeah, so art direction, Elden Ring. So for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in the artistic design and animation. So you got Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Scorn, and Stray. Stray is everywhere.
Isn't it mental? Isn't it mental?
Yeah, okay. So that's so weird. I like that Scorn's in here because if there's one thing you could say about Scorn, is its art direction is extremely interesting.
That's right.
In the way it looks. So I like that it got a nomination here.
I wouldn't be opposed to Scorn winning this category.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't.
I mean, Elden Ring again, mate. The designs on the areas and the world and how intricate they all are and blend together. And all the animations for all the different weapons, the art of wars, mate. So much went into that in terms of design and animation. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely phenomenal. I wouldn't be upset with Elden Ring winning. I don't think God of War is good, but it's not on the same level as Elden Ring. And I know it's going to sound really stupid, but I kind of also think it's not on the same level as Scorn because Scorn is just so incredibly cohesive and unique. And because like a lot of these games are like, we've got to have a snowy biome, and now we've got to have a rich biome, and now we've got to have a jungle biome, and it's like I don't find that interesting. Like God of War is quite good, is that, and they're Norse inspired, so they do have like an edge. Like it's definitely very good. Elden Ring is like its own thing. It's like it has biomes that you couldn't have dreamt of. Really. And same with Scorn. Like Scorn is just it's very well realized as well. In terms of its art direction, like its level design is a bit piss here and there. But the actual the art and getting that from concept phase into game is really good, especially that last level is so good, so memorable. Like that really sticks out. Like it feels like it's burnt into my brain.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some, I mean, maybe it's just the scope, but for Elden Ring there are some bits that definitely aren't. But some bits definitely do. So yeah, I don't know. I would be happy with Scorn or Elden Ring to take this category.
Yeah, I'm going Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Scorn is definitely and it's just good to see it there as well. Okay, let's do narrative really quickly. So narrative, outstanding storytelling, narrative, and development in a game. Plague Tale, Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and Immortality again.
Well,
So
this, of course,
best
caused a
narrative.
whole lot of controversy over on Twitter because of whether or not Elden Ring should be nominated for this category.
It's a bit obscure, isn't it, for Elden Ring? It's very find it yourself narrative. It's in there,
Yeah.
and it's very it's hard to find, but I don't know if you can mark against it for that, just because they don't give you the breadcrumb to follow exactly and hold your hand. Like, do you really take that away from the narrative?
Well, it's funny because then you start getting into semantics, don't you? Because it's like, well, is this like if this was best lore, best world building, yeah. But if you start saying narrative, storytelling, like if you change the word slightly, like it becomes very easy to nod along with or very hard to nod along with. And like I've got to say, like I am kind of in the camp where I'm not sure if narrative is the right word for Elden Ring here, but I also understand that if we just chose a different word, you know, it would probably be fine.
Yeah,
So because it's not really storytelling, is it?
not particularly. Yeah,
Um, and honestly, for that reason, I wouldn't Mortality, which was I'd vote for Mortality. I'd vote for Mortality. Plague Tale would be really, really closely behind with its narrative, but Immortality is like that could have only worked as a video game,
yeah. Okay.
and it pulled it off, and so I can't see how I can't vote for that.
Fair dues. I
Not a
respect
movie
that.
game.
Yeah, I don't have experience with any
Yeah.
of them, so I don't want to do that. I want to create any enemies. We already did direction, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go on to the final. We've covered most of the main
Yeah,
ones,
let's
so
do it.
let's just do Game of the Year. Game of the Year nominations are so recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and that's the list.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so I've also got the Game Awards Twitter account tweeted out the nominations that of a list of games
That were there
got
but didn't make the
nominated for
final
this
cut.
category. Yeah, that's right, including these as well. So just to start from the bottom and work upwards, Xenoblade Chronicles got 3 votes, Tunic got 3 votes, Sifu got 3, Neon White got 3, Immortality 3, COD Modern Warfare 2 3. A Plague Tale Requiem got 5, Stray got 6, Forbidden West got 7, Elden Ring got 7, and God of War Ragnarok got 10. Why does Elden Ring only have 1 more vote than Stray? What's going on?
Yeah, and the same.
What's happening
and the same for Forbidden West. Forbidden West is in the same camp. 1 more than Stray. That's an insult to Forbidden West as well a little bit. And I'm not shitting on Stray.
Yeah.
For anyone listening to this, Stray is a fine game. It's just not on the caliber of some of these. Like, God, you could show this list to a blind person and they'd pick out Stray as the weird one out here. It's just, I don't know why it got so much love, especially as the reviews kind of evened out, like what, high 70s. I don't think it broke the 80s either.
Yeah, it did. It did. It got like low 80s. I think it was like 84.
I just
It got good reviews.
I don't see it, and I've played it. I just don't see it, but I'm just one person.
Well, this isn't. Yeah, no, this is. I'm Butterborn. Yeah, like this is like isn't an unpopular opinion. Like I've heard a lot of people being like Stray. Like of all the things on this list, Stray. Like I've spoken about Immortality, and like again because it's an FMV game, I know it's like not going to be the most popular thing out there, but that game is like BioShock Infinite levels of clever writing. There's no game like that. There's no game like what that does. And it kind of pisses me off that we've just gone for a a cat movie game.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? Again, it got more votes than Plague Tale Requiem did. And that's they're more comparable, but it's still, I find that a bit unfair. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why does Elden Ring only have one more vote than Stray? What are we doing here? I don't understand. Yeah. Is recency bias really that bad? Because Elden Ring was so much further in the end, people are like, I wasn't that great. I like cats after all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird one. Yeah, we can't deny that seeing Stray on this list is a bit strange. Yeah. And
there's been mixed opinion about Forbidden West being here as well. And it's okay, yeah, look at the Xbox podcast picking on the PlayStation game. Yeah, okay. But I'm not going to pick on God of War being on this list, and I'm not going to pick on Xenoblade 3 being on this list either. And they're both platform exclusives that aren't on Xbox. But a lot of people felt that Forbidden West was just more of the first one.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Of course, that's great. That's arguably what you want to have a sequel, but that's what makes sequels quite hard to get on these lists. And so a Game of the Year nomination, when you do have things like Immortality, and you do have things like A Plague Tale, or even things like Neon White, right?
Yeah.
I think that come on. Why are we just going for this is the movie game? Maybe Xenoblade is turn-based, so maybe less so Xenoblade, but it's kind of, they are just. Is it not?
No.
Okay. So it is this whole thing of games that are analogous to movies are easier to review, and therefore they get plopped up. Same with I love Plague Tale, but Plague Tale is that sort of game.
Yeah.
Elden Ring is a bit less so because of its unconventional way in that it tells stories or introduces lore, that whole thing. And that just annoys me. Immortality is very unconventional. It tells you something through a game. You interact with it. And As Dusk Falls a little bit as well. I never expected it to get onto this because it just wasn't received as well, even though I think it deserved to be. But that was a game. You made choices. Your choices had impact. I don't know, man. I sometimes feel like this isn't a Game of the Year category. It's just a best movie game.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
What game could be told best as a movie,
Yeah, I would agree with that. But we've got to cast our votes, buddy. So where you voting for this, for Game of the Year? What's your Game of the Year?
Like I said, I haven't finished God of War yet, but I think the first God of War is better. Unless there's quite a big turnaround, I don't think it's as good as the first. I think I gave the first a 9.5. I think Ragnarok so far is a 9, which is fantastic. I think sometimes it edges into the 8.5 territory. So far, that's where I'm at. It's between an 8.5 and a 9 to me. This game, by the way, has some horrendous pacing issues. This is starting to circulate online a bit more now that it's it's been in everyone's hands for a bit. I don't know why nobody's mentioned this in reviews. So many outlets were just tripping over each other to give this game a 10 out of 10. There's a section in this game which is just it's a 2 or 3 hour part early on where you're just riding something around picking fruit, and there's just talking going on, and it just never ends. And there are parts of this game where you have a fight and then you climb on a wall for 4 minutes while there's dialogue, and the dialogue's good, the voice acting is good, but it just feels so sticky and gloopy. I want to keep moving, and then you're you've got your hand on the stick because you're just pushing it up and you're listening, and then it's you've got to look over there and press circle to jump to the next part in the wall, and it's just let me stop doing this to me. I don't feel like the first game had this sort of issue where it's really forcefully trying to slow you down.
Yeah.
A lot of the time the game's okay, we need to have a break. You need to breathe between the next combat section, otherwise it's going to be too much. And I've got no real way to move or speed it up, because in the first game they lent really heavily on the boat sections where you would boat from thing to thing and Mimir would tell you a story, and it was great. And there is still that in this game, but there's more of you're going to squeeze through a tiny gap, you're going to climb a wall, you're going to really be forced into this thing where you just push an analog stick forward. and listen to dialogue for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And the fight was only 3 minutes long. So it has some very genuine pacing issues that do suck the enjoyment out of it. So if it didn't, there are lots of other parts of this game which are really, really brilliant. It is a little bit samey in terms of the combat, can't lie. Again, the reviews are tripping over each other, so just ignore that. So 8.5 to 9 for me. The first was a 9.5. Elden Ring, Plague Tale, I put 8.5 to 9 as well. Elden Ring, I still think is somewhere in the range of 9.5 and 10. So I would give it.
So Stray.
So Stray, yes, that's right. I don't even need to play it to know that is game of the year.
Yeah, I think I'm with you here. I haven't played Forbidden West, Ragnarok, Plague Tale. Literally the only ones I played in Elden Ring and Stray. I can recognize them for what they are, and I will get around to them. God of War, Ragnarok, and Forbidden West. They're obviously phenomenal games, but yeah, I have to cast my vote to Elden Ring here. I'm with Joaquin. I'm with you. We're all holding hands. And my vote cast to Elden Ring. And I guess before we close off this segment, what do you? So we've done what we personally vote for. What do you think's going to take it home?
If Elden Ring doesn't take this home, I'm going to sit in my bed and I'm going to shit my pants. I'm going to shit myself. I'm going to sit there with my 1 week old baby, and we're both going to shit our pants together.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's between Ragnarok and Elden Ring, isn't it? It's one of the two.
It is.
I very much want it to be Elden Ring, and I'll be very surprised if it wasn't Elden Ring, considering the reception that game came out to.
I will be a little bit outraged, because Ragnarok has more votes, like on the nominated list. It has 10 votes to Elden Ring 7, and like to me, it either does. It does put out like a PlayStation preference vibe, or a really heavily recency bias vibe. And there's nothing like strictly wrong with either of those things. But like, if we're going to do awards, guys, we need to be a bit more objective about this. Like, you need to be looking back at your notes that you took when Elden Ring came out, and you need to be looking at what you said was so good. You know, the way the map guides you around, and it just keeps going, and you know how the game makes you emote, you know, with no voice acting, really. You know, you go into these areas and it creates, you know, going into the what's the red zone called? You know what I mean?
The Scarlet Rot place and stuff.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that place. So it's very emotive, and I like all of that. You go on for hours about this, but you know what I mean. Like, I have a couple of very minor gripes with Elden Ring, but overall, I think it is, and with how the content creator community treated that game and devs after it. But overall, I do think it was pretty evolutionary in how it treated open world design, and like the amount of content in it, and it was intentionally not putting its story first, and how that actually complemented the gameplay. Like, I think that's fantastic. For those reasons, like I will be absolutely shocked if Elden Ring doesn't win. Like, God of War is great. Don't get me wrong. Ragnarok is very good. I'm having a great time playing it. But I have some moderate gripes with Ragnarok. I don't have any moderate sized gripes with Elden Ring. They're very quite small.
Yeah.
So I will shit myself. Okay. What about you?
You heard it here first. I'm not going to shit myself. Right. But yeah, if Elden Ring doesn't, it'll be a travesty.
You'll piss yourself.
Yeah, I'll piss myself. Yeah, we'll both tweet videos of us shitting.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of a travesty if Elden Ring didn't take this one home. And if Stray actually does win it, I think I might take my own life. I think I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna play in traffic if Stray wins this category.
On your xCloud, you're gonna play Stray on the motorway.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it's gotta be Elden Ring, right? And yeah, that's where my vote goes. And yeah, that's the end of our very lengthy Game Awards segment.
Yeah, it had
done.
to be done. I mean, this is just what happens when we skip a week. And I've put a line through a couple of things, Tim, that I don't think we need to go through
Okay, cool.
for the rest of the video.
Good
But
stuff.
I just to underline kind of Xbox's involvement with all of this. Aaron Greenberg tweeted out about Game Pass's kind of involvement with the nominations here, and there were of all of the nominated games, 15 of them were on Game Pass. As some examples, Tunic was day one, Plague Tale was day one, Scorn, Immortality, Vampire Survivors got a nomination in the Best Debut Indie category, by the way.
Nice.
Citizen Sleeper, As Dusk Falls, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all of these games, Metal Hellsinger, all of these games were Game Pass day one. So as much as there hasn't been a first party showing this year, that's a good signal for quality in the service.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty crazy to think, actually. Yeah.
15. That's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Good
That's
value.
big.
Okay, so I think what we'll do, Tim, I've put lines through everything, and I think if in the notes, if we go down to page 17 around the initiative, we'll go from there, and then I think there's two or three things to go over, really. Two things, yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, what time are we on? 2:10. Man, that really did take up a lot of time, eh?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I still got to hit shots before they close. Go.
You're already got another hour. Okay. So there was a small comment from the CEO of Crystal Dynamics, Phil Rogers, who spoke about their experience of working with the initiative on Perfect Dark. And they mentioned that the project is going extremely well. One of those things, right? What else are they going to say? Oh, man, this sucks. The initiative, this whole thing sucks. Nonetheless, I more wanted to steer the conversation around, like, does this, now that this is settled and we know this is still going on, and we know that actually the Crystal Dynamics and the initiative involvement is kind of a co-development rather than like a contracted development. We know that Crystal Dynamics are working on this game as much as the initiative are. Does that make you like more confident in this game or less confident? Like, what are kind of what's the temperature on that now?
I don't know, man. I mean, Crystal Dynamics have had some pretty spotty games in the past. So it would just be interesting to know how, like, this relationship is going with them working together. Like, as much as it might be like equal parts in terms of work, I'd be more confident if I found out that initiative were like still the decision makers and still sort of leading, right, and then making the ideas and stuff like that, and then them all working on it together. That would make me a bit more confident. I don't know how that works in terms of this, but I just know that Crystal Dynamics don't have a perfect track record, but it definitely doesn't install any worries in me that this is like an equal parts co-development sort of situation rather than a contractor. A contract sort of thing. So no negative impact here, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think beside anything else, Crystal Dynamics was bought on 2 years into development, maybe longer. So it unless they're literally rebooting everything that they've done, the initiative will have frameworked the game, in advance. As much as they're co-developing now, like that is already done. Like that framework, that prototyping and wireframing is probably already done. And I think we've spoken about this before, but I think that was initially the idea of the studio, that they had kind of a small hyper talent. Like, just remember the people that they still have on this team, but there was like a series of departures. They had like Rockstar devs, Sony Santa Monica, Rocksteady. They had so many Naughty Dog. They poached talent from all over the industry. They had some Coalition guys that moved into there as well, where they made the game and then they contracted teams in to kind of put the meat on the bones. That was what we kind of speculated was going on. But it more seems like that isn't maybe what's happening now going forward, and they've gone into a more conventional development style. And part of that is because the project is being led by Daryl Gallagher, who used to be over at Crystal Dynamics, I think. So he's kind of essentially bringing on his old team so that they can get things moving. But it sounds like it's going well. I think Perfect Dark has, what I just really hope is that they do something like unique with this game. What Xbox doesn't need is a Splinter Cell clone. It doesn't need like an espionage shooter clone, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think we have confirmation yet that the game is a first-person shooter. But a lot of the evidence seems to be pointing in that direction. And the one thing that sticks out in my head as something I think it was either spoken about in an interview or it was spoken about in one of the trailers is that they wanted the game to feel like it was a parkour GoPro John Wick game.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So like kind of like it had like this kind of Mirror's Edge feel, but like John Wick instead.
Yeah.
And that sounds cool. Like do that.
Sounds
like that. So I hope that's something they can go for. So we'll see. We'll see. Really. I mean, do you have anything else to add to that?
Not particularly. No. I mean, like I didn't play the original like Perfect Dark, so I don't even know really what I'm getting into here. But yeah, it would definitely be interesting if they did something unique with it rather than just sort of like you said, make a Splinter Cell clone with it. Yeah, the idea of like a very cool, stylish, like you said, like fast paced Hitman-esque game, where you just feel like a badass, you feel like a bounty hunter sort of thing. Like that's kind of what I'm going for here. Rather than crouched in the dark waiting for enemy patterns and to walk by and me stealth kill them and stuff like that. You know, I'd rather it be cool cinematic, almost like Max Payne sort of vibes. That'd be really cool.
But first person.
Yeah.
In my head I've got this idea of the game being like really heavy on like animations and camera work, where so they'd probably need a wider field of view, but like things where it would be like a mix of like quick time events kind of, and maybe like button combos, but from a first person perspective. Do you know what I mean? That's like I don't really that sounds quite new to me. Where like cool. You shoot someone in the leg and then there's you press Y and you like step on their foot like where you shot them and then you like take them out or things like that. Or you like shoot someone in the arm and they've dropped the gun and now you can run over to and pick up the gun. Things like that where there's kind of this environmental interplay and like maybe physical combat interplay from the first person like the thing, the camera like pans down to the feet and the hands and the body parts, to make this all work. I think that sounds really novel to me. Thinking about how when you see those first person like that footage of like parkour runners doing their thing, that's kind of what it looks like, doesn't it? The camera like moves around to like different body parts. That's in my head what I want the game to be.
That would be cool as hell. Yeah, you'd feel so fucking cool doing that.
Yeah, that real life. You're someone like standing behind the wall. You like shoot their foot. Then you get the prompt to pull them out behind cover, and you follow it up with some more shots. Yeah, just that real John Wick feel. I think that's what I'm vibing for with this game.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move on to the final piece of news, guys. If you're still listening, if you're still here, it's been a longer show than normal, so we'd really appreciate if you could give us a thumbs up. If you could give us a rating if you're on a podcast platform, if you could maybe consider subscribing, that would be really, really good. That'd be delightful.
Do it.
That'd be just delightful. Do it. For Queen and Country. Oh, for King and Country. Oh no. Oh no.
Cancel.
Okay,
dude.
so yeah, that's it. All right. So for the final piece of news, then we've got the ABK section really, and just to skim over the top, China have declined the basic filing. So essentially, China have moved into their phase 2 investigation. No surprise, it's a $70 billion acquisition. Supposedly, the FTC, so the US regulatory body, might be getting ready to sue Microsoft over antitrust concerns. It's not official; they're just rumors coming from sources TM, insiders TM. Don't really know if this is true, but nonetheless, it seems like Activision and Microsoft are both ready to go to court over this if they need to. So maybe this was a contingency that they had on the roadmap that this very well might happen, and we need to be prepared for that. And they're obviously still confident that they think they can win it. So that's just the legal ongoings. So we got the EU, the UK, the US, and China kind of in-depth probing now.
Okay.
Which just makes it all the more funny that Saudi Arabia and Brazil were like, yeah, it's fine, mate.
Yeah, we're
You know,
cool.
take them. Just have them. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like you said, I'm sure they prepared for something like this. I mean, I think they
Yes.
were always going to expect resistance in this. So yeah, I don't think this is much of a shock. Obviously, they would prefer not to go down this route. But it's not much of a shock for them. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the the main things that have really happened since we last had a podcast has been that, and this only happened in the last few days, is that the CMA published Sony's response to Microsoft's initial rationale. So there's been obviously quite a few back and forths, and then we've seen publicly what Microsoft's response was to that Sony response. So we've got a couple of extra things, and I guess the best place to start with this, I think, is kind of the headliner here. Is that, and this happened kind of on the record rather than on the regulatory papers, but Phil has said that Xbox has since the last meeting has offered 10 years of multi-platform guarantee with Call of Duty. If you remember last time, it was 3 years, right? They said 3 years, and Jim Ryan flying, crying, spying on your pie and Ryan said, that's not enough. Do you like those bars? He said, that's not enough. That's inadequate. We couldn't. That's not. So they've now offered. They've over tripled that, and they've said you can have 10 years. And Sony have since declined to comment on that offer. Okay. Wow.
Declined to comment. Wow. Well, I mean, it needs to think on it, I guess, but.
I think that's a very generous interpretation of the situation. Yeah. I think that Sony is not actually caring, like they just want to nuke it. They just want to kill the deal, or they just want, they want an agreement in exclusivity. In perpetuity. Really, they just want Xbox to say, "Yep, we'll never take we'll never take COD off." Yeah. They don't want Xbox to have that leverage over them. That's what really. I think a lot of this is about leverage. I think they know that this is going through one way or another, and they don't want Xbox, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, they don't want Xbox to ever be able to turn around and say, you need to keep your next Marvel game, let's say, Deadpool, whatever.
Yeah.
That needs to come to multi-plat. Or we'll be thinking very carefully when it's time to renew our Call of Duty
agreement.
Our Call of Duty contract. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, but they're just never gonna get that. Like, Xbox are gonna want to negotiate. Yeah. I don't think, like we said, they never want to take it off, but we're gonna negotiate. It's business, right? Like, but I feel like they're gonna be quite fair and quite, I mean, we've already shown generosity, with it right now, and it's just. I don't know, man. And it also gives them 10 years of guaranteed.
Spin up a competitor.
Yeah, to produce another competitor. Yeah, to just be like, let's get our hand in the FPS now. Let's bring back some of our FPS fucking games that we've just left to die because we decided that we like to make movie action games. Like, you got 10 years to start getting a horse in the race there as well. And that's not even like, and that's still, even after that 10 years, it's not like we're ripping it away from them. It's just like some negotiations will need to be had. You can still probably keep it multiplayer.
That's right.
It's just like, how is this not like a generous offer? Like, I just don't understand, man. It's so strange to me.
And let's, because they've declined to offer, and then we've seen these reports, the behind the scenes, their kind of retort. All they've done is continue to cry about a hypothetical exclusivity, which Xbox has said over and over and over again. They're not going to do that. Yeah. They're not going to take it off PlayStation. Like, we want to, and that's it. Xbox just, and that's kind of the funny thing, I suppose, the kind of hypocritical thing. And it's like, if you're not ever going to take it off PlayStation, why do you want why are you against the contract being in perpetuity? And I think it's probably because there's some middle ground there. I think Xbox will want marketing rights. They might want some timed exclusivity. They will want Xbox to be the place to play, and they don't want PlayStation to be able to write a contract down and say, no, you can't optimize it for the Series X, which is the better performing hardware for this game. No, you can't put it on Game Pass, right? They don't want that. So really, I think they want the leverage. And I just think, is there a time, ignoring Sony, is there a time period that regulators would be happy with? Like, would regulators look at this and be like, okay, Sony, they're giving you a pretty good deal here.
Yeah.
Like, you've got enough time to spin this up. Okay, we'll make a couple of extra concessions. Maybe they can't stop you putting it on PS Plus. That would be extra generous. You can have it on PS Plus 6 months after it goes to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Things like that. You can have a delayed subscription inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I wonder if a regulator's going to be like, yeah, no, if they're not happy, we're not happy. Jim Wright, he's taking me out. He's taking me and the kids out for dinner on Saturday. I want those waffle fries.
Yeah.
And if you can't put this up to 20 years, I'm not getting waffle fries.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's almost like they're expecting, like, even though we're making this insane lump sum, purchase of Blizzard Activision, they seem to want an exact 50-50 split or like equal rights on this sort of stuff, and it's just like, well, that's never going to happen. You can find some middle ground where both parties benefit, but one obviously will benefit more, being Xbox, because that's the whole idea of it. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, they just want it to stay the same, but they're you dropped 70 billion on that company, but we want everything to stay the same here. It's just like, well, I'm sorry, that's not how the world works. Fucking.
And it's not even
Christ.
like it's not like stomp out the little guy either. It's like, okay, oh, you've made the moves. Like, let's not forget, after everything we just said, PlayStation just bought Bungie.
Yeah.
Like, they just bought Bungie for six billion or something. Okay, it's a tenth of the Activision price. Destiny 2 is still one of the biggest IPs in the world.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me they can't spin up a competitor when they own Destiny, the studio behind Destiny. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, that Bungie could spin up a Warzone competitor. They could just make like an Apex, like, a standalone and a Destiny universe battle royale.
Yeah, these were the creators of Halo, the best. Back then, the best FPS on the fucking market in the entire world. What's to say they can't make a Destiny-centric first-person shooter game, multiplayer only, or like you said, a battle royale competitor or something like that? It's ridiculous. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't want to hear it that this isn't enough. They don't even need the 10-year spin up. They've already got one of the best in the business. They literally just bought them and nobody gave two shits. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit confused about and I know that the stipulation with the Bungie thing, apparently they said that, they'll remain independent and they'll publish everything. Or at least Destiny, I can't remember the exact wording. The wording was that all their games will stay multiplayer. And we don't know if there will be concessions on that. And maybe for that reason, Sony don't internally consider that a competitive factor with Call of Duty. But that's that's your fucking problem. Like, you wanted to acquire a studio that wanted to remain independent, and you did that because you wanted the transmedia benefit rather than the exclusivity benefit. So that's where we're at. With that, declining to offer on this 10-year deal, really, I think just goes to show that they don't want that. They, like you said, they want this kind of 50-50, 1-to-1. They want it to almost pretend like the acquisition didn't even happen for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Which we'll see. And, personally, I couldn't give less of a shit. By all means, do that. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. When you've got regulators out there tweeting about Call of Duty wanting to stay on my PlayStation, all it does is really fuel the fire that there is some bias out there, and that there is some love for and this need to protect Sony and this backdoor changing of money. It just seems a bit sus, especially when we're getting something new about this every week, and every time even neutral outlets are like, this is a bit ridiculous. Like, listen to
Yeah.
this, right? This is what Sony said again in the retort that they published. Faced with weaker competition, Microsoft would be able to increase console and game prices for Xbox users, increase the price of Game Pass, and reduce innovation and quality. There's only one publisher I know that's doing that, increasing game prices and increasing console prices.
Yeah.
It's PlayStation, isn't it?
PlayStation. Yeah.
Oh, they couldn't possibly do the thing that we're doing. You've got to put a stop to this.
Oh yeah. I mean, you just got to, man. Only they can do it and get away with it. Yeah, it's just a complete contradiction. I don't get how like stuff like this isn't just they're not just being laughed at when making statements like this. It's it's so weird to me.
No, it is. It's like, how could, like, this can't be serious. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know if regulators are reading this, like, with their glasses down on the edge of their nose, and they're like, yes, no, it's a very good point. Xbox they could put their game prices up to £100. They could like, I don't. This is already happening. The company you're defending is already doing this. They put up their prices for no reason in 70% of the Western world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see Joaquin popping off in the chat, who said that there's no such thing as a contract in perpetuity in business, which it is absolutely right, but at the same time, this is kind of an extraordinary circumstance and therefore requires extraordinary reasoning. We'll see. I agree with it in principle. Here's the perfect compromise, Joaquin says. Give Sony a 10-year contract as well as the previous year's CODs go into PS Plus until the current game becomes old, and then that would take its place. If the COD schedule moves to a 2-year cycle, that means PlayStation would receive the old COD every 2 years for the next decade. Boom. Yeah, so timed exclusivity comes out a bit later.
Yeah.
Kind of like how PlayStation currently guts modes out of the CODs and gives it to Xbox a year later.
And progression.
Yeah, no, that sounds fine to me. And progression, yeah, don't forget about that. And progression, yeah, that's right. Pretty cool. So and that's the thing. Like, I really we've continued to say that we don't really have any stake in COD. We don't really care about COD. It's more that there's just like some really obvious and silly hypocrisy going on here, and that's really what's getting Xbox gamers annoyed.
Yeah,
it's like, hang on, what?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If these points were valid and actually backed up and just not completely hypocritical, then I'm sure that people wouldn't be up in arms. But it's just some of the shit they're saying is just like, how can you not get mad? It's just like, you're doing this and you're asking us not to do it. Like, what? It's just the weirdest shit, man. And like you said, we don't even care about COD, but it's just like, how can you not, you can't, out of principle, you can't let someone act that way and get away with it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I like, to further some of the comments here, I don't have the exact quote, so I am paraphrasing, but what they had also said was, that if this went through, gamers would have less choices. And, this is the title of the video. Gamers would have less choices and the industry would be worse. And they even implied that they would have to consider leaving the industry if this went through. I just can't believe it. It's just such a load of shit. It's such a load of shit. Is there a penalty for something like this? But if the deal goes through and then in 10 years' time they haven't left, can a regulator not be like,
you lied?
It's actually an offense to make up stuff to a federal regulator. I just think it's kind of silly. And if you put your brain on it, right, when they're saying gamers would have less choices, if the what? I honestly, what do you mean? How would gamers have less choices? I actually don't understand. So this is assuming that they do the exclusivity that Xbox has already said that they won't do. What do you mean? I don't understand. Because the game would be available on PC, Steam, Cloud, Xbox, previous Xboxes.
Mm.
I mean, the amount of places that you could play COD would go up.
Yeah.
Even if it was made exclusive and taken off PlayStation, it would still go up.
Really,
So, like, I actually don't know what you mean.
Really, what they're saying is PlayStation gamers will have less choice. That's really what they're saying here. Because, like you said, if anything, it's available more. It's more accessible.
Yeah. And that's only if Xbox are like mustache twirling villains, and they're like, "Haha, got ya," and they just immediately make all of it exclusive. Like,
low key, I kind of wouldn't mind that happening. Seeing Phil put on
Phil just going out.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just doing like the Rick
All right
dance.
then. Well, and yeah. I guess I just wanted to round out the segment with kind of the other side of this as we kind of bring the show to a close, which was around what kind of some of the things that Xbox said, because, let's keep it real. These are just both companies trying to make their shareholders happy with the information that they bring up and the things that they say. And that's all just silly stuff because it's, we live in a society where money is the most important thing. And we have to make sure people are happy with that.
Yeah.
And so some of the things that Xbox said were, for example, they started like pointing to Metacritic and, and Twitter mentions. You're like, well, if you look at the amount of Twitter mentions that Call of Duty had at the end of last year, it was actually quite far down. So, that means that it really isn't impact. And it's just like, it's like silly stuff, but like it's nowhere near as egregious as what like some of the stuff Sony is saying. But like it's like let's look at Pokemon, right? Let's point to their Metacritic and the fact that they just broke a historic record. So silly stuff all around, but
yeah, definitely.
They can't keep getting away with this. They can't keep getting away with this.
And we thought Phase 2 would be better. Hopefully Phase 2 is less petty.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's going that way.
All right. Yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I had like another one or two things I wanted to go over, but we've kind of made the podcast go on long enough, and we have places to be, and we've got lives, unfortunately. So we'll leave it there. If there's any developments on some of these things that we haven't covered today, we'll obviously follow them up in the next week's video, and we'll be less rushed because we won't have to compact 2 weeks of news into 1 week. But Tim, are there any closing thoughts on any of that? On the Game Awards, on the ABK stuff, on Sony being little weasels, on Stray?
Yeah, my closing thoughts are Stray got nominated far too many times. If it wins, I will go play in traffic. Elden Ring should win. And Sony needs to grow up in terms of just this whole deal and realizing that there's not going to be a one-to-one compromise. Why would Xbox drop 70 billion on a company and give you the exact same rights, if not more? Take a good deal, take a generous deal, and fucking put it to bed. Make another game. Make a game that's hasn't got sad dads in it.
Wow, that is just savage. I'll tell you what, while you that's beautiful. That is really beautiful. As you put the jingle on, please, can you just put up that graph that I put up at the very bottom? Can you see it on it's at the very bottom of my notes.
Oh yeah.
The one with the like red and green, the Starfield rifle, because they pretty much like had to spell it out to the regulators of like, this is why this sort of game isn't good for exclusivity. This sort of game, like Starfield and Redfall, is good for exclusivity because it's a new IP, it has an uncertain audience, it appeals to dedicated gamers, often single player, and then it moves further down the spectrum, further down the continuum to like niche studios, like Psychonauts and Fallout 76. They've got a niche audience, they've got a small community, and therefore there's a lower value of exclusivity there. And then on the other end of that spectrum is Call of Duty and Minecraft. Mass market audience, lower value of exclusivity, massive online community that extends beyond the device. It's what they've been saying the whole time, but they've literally had to paint a picture Like there's like illustrations, like just to help explain what they mean. And I think it's a really good little graph actually. At a glance, you can just immediately tell what they're talking about, with those games in the middle being valuable as exclusives, but on either extreme end does not.
Yeah, it totally checks out. Yeah, and it's what you would think it would be common knowledge and common sense. You could figure this sort of stuff out.
Yeah, there is like a little bit of nuance here, I think, because I think this, like they are playing the field a little bit. I would still say, because Psychonauts 2, if that didn't already had an agreement, that I think that would remain exclusive in the same way the Hellblade is. Like Hellblade, it's arguably a niche audience with a small community, but that's exclusive.
Yeah,
things like Wolfenstein 3, Elder Scrolls 6, like where do they fall? They're probably somewhere in between the left and the middle there, between the Fallout 76 and the Redfall, and therefore there is a bit higher value of exclusivity. But yeah, very good. Longest show yet, Tim.
We did it. Yeah, it was very long.
Let's do the old wrap around. Guys, girls in the chat, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for coming back to us after the 2-week break. The plan is to continue to go back to our regularly scheduled programming, 12:30 BST on Sundays. So if you've been here this whole time, thank you so much for lending us an ear. If you want to follow us on Twitter, come over there and do so. Consider subscribing, consider liking the video, all of that really helpful stuff for the channel. And we will catch you next week.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for showing up.